Have you ever heard of the conspiracy theory of the lizard men, where leaders of the world are secretly aliens from space, only disguised as humans to rule over us? The theory has certainly become popular of late, enough that it's casually brought up in media and even politics. But could it be real? Can our world and its government really all just be an illusion hiding the real reptilian rulers, people living underground or even amongst us, leaving us none the wiser? For centuries, lizard people have been ruling us and deciding our fate for us. Let's delve into the subject and see if we can't uncover the truth. I'm your host, Ryan.
I'm Ryder.
And I'm Skylar.
What do you got for us today, Ryan?
Did you bring pictures?
I did not bring pictures, but I brought videos. That'll be for a little while later.
What are you talking to us about today?
So, we're talking about reptilians.
What are reptilians?
So, reptilians are a group of aliens that are shapeshifters.
They're shapeshifters?
Yes. So, to put it together, the conspiracy behind reptilians is it's where people believe that reptilians are these aliens from space that can shapeshift into people. And what they want to do is shapeshift into our leaders and try to take over the world.
So, like Mystique from X-Men level shapeshifting.
Yeah.
Not just like they're alien and then they can just look like a human version of what they look like full-on morphing body.
Yeah,
And they're not Michael Myers wearing the skin of humans. They're actually like transforming.
So
You're thinking of Leatherface, not Michael Myers.
Oh, is that just a mask that he wears? It's been a while since I've seen those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, completely off topic. Do you know who that mask is? The mask that they use in Michael Myers is William
Shatner?
William Shatner's face.
Yeah.
It's a Star Trek mask.
I see.
There's something in the wing.
There's theories where they are more or less possessed people.
So they're demons.
But the big deal is, no, they shapeshift. Okay. And they can shapeshift very well. Well enough, anyway. They say the good way to spot a disguised reptilian is to look out for low body temperature, keen eyesight, or unexplained scars, and if they have too much interest in space. And, oddly enough, if they have red hair.
So they just don't like gingers or autistic people.
My old co-worker might have been a reptilian.
Oh, if we're talking about people that we know that used to be.
Kevin, I'm coming after you.
I had a teacher that had like bug eyes, and like she had a very particular tick where she would like kind of stick her tongue out to the side a lot. Like
the Joker in The Dark Knight. Just
constantly licking his lips. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just off to the side of. And it was always to the same side, I think. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, it was weird.
How else is she supposed to sniff the room?
Wait, isn't that what snakes do?
Yeah.
Yeah, not lizards.
Well, reptilians can refer to snake people, too.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, there's a big part of this where it's more looked as snake people rather than lizard people.
But they have arms and legs.
Yeah, that's just
Is that just
weird.
part of the shape-shifting?
I don't know. No, I mean, like the reptilians in their human or in their normal form, they have arms and legs, whether they're snake people or lizard people.
Huh. I mean, what is a lizard than just a snake with legs?
That's incorrect because there's
Okay,
a
listen-
legless lizard.
Yes.
Listen
yes,
here,
there
you
is.
son of a bitch. Fun fact about snakes. Their penises are shaped very similar to their tongues.
That's weird.
Yeah. I'll probably cut this part out, but
Yeah, but I don't know why you know that.
That's another sign. If you're getting laid and you know
Kevin had a Y-shaped dick! Now I have to leave it in. All right.
Okay. Why do you know these things?
He's trying to get laid.
You know, whenever you work together and you're both using, you're telling me you don't take a little peek off to the side whenever you're at a urinal?
I try not to cross swords with my coworkers.
Sometimes two people gotta go and you gotta use a porta potty.
Yep.
Did you cross streams?
Of course.
Well, yeah, with a Y-shaped dick, you don't have a choice.
He crosses his own stream
You
sometimes.
cross your own streams.
No, that's far apart because it's...
Well, I mean, they're a little.
You could move them. They probably like to cross them where they make like a little spiral while it goes
makes
down.
A double helix?
Yeah.
That's magic now. Anyways, can we get back to the lizard people? I feel like it's a little early to be joking this much.
Of course not. Okay. So, I guess we need to get into more what it's about.
Why are they trying to take over the world? Why are they becoming our
When
leaders?
did they get here?
That's another thing for debate. Some say they've only, more or less recently got here, but a lot of them say, like conspiracy theorists say that they've been here for a long, long time. And I'll get into that a little bit later, but what they're doing here is they're either possessing or shapeshifting into our leaders. And it's more of thought of that our leaders that we see today, they're not like, oh, they've been kidnapped and been replaced by reptilians. No, they've just always been reptilians.
So when it comes to like elections and stuff, it doesn't matter who we're choosing. They're both just lizards.
Yeah, you're choosing between
One
two different
lizard or the
lizards.
But
Or actually, they also say that your leaders could be human, but they're being like whispered in the ear by reptilians. But majority, they're reptilians.
so the entire theory is like, it's not a.
They've already taken over.
Exactly. Like
Yes.
the conspiracy theory is there's reptilian people trying to take over the world, but the main theory is that they've already taken over the world.
Well, it's in a work in progress, because even though they're taking over the leaders, we're still not one world. And that's what their end goal is to become one world order.
Okay.
The new
So,
order.
okay,
The new
hold on.
world
Okay,
order.
So
Hold
this
on,
is somehow
hold on.
tied
Are
to
you-
the Bible?
What?
No.
Christianity, Christianity gets really into like once the world is one nation.
I believe
it's Armageddon or something.
Yeah, I believe it's in Revelations. Jesus might have talked about it himself, but I think it's more into Revelations. I can't
Okay,
speak.
so are you telling me that who can we count as a peaceful president?
JFK.
Are you telling me JFK? No, because the Russian missile crisis. Boba Frick from Star Wars say they became president. They want world peace. That means that dude is a reptilian.
Not
but
necessarily.
Kim Jong-un, due to the fact he hates every other country that doesn't like him being a dictator, that guy's the most likely to not be a reptilian?
Probably.
Is
yeah.
Putin the most likely?
Here's the thing, though. It's just different methods of taking over the world. Peaceful, you're just trying to, shake hands and whatever.
So
And
are
then-
there different
but-
clans?
What was the question?
Are there different clans?
That was one of my questions.
I don't think every leader is a reptilian. I think it's saying that they're...
At least the U.S. leaders.
No, it's all over the world. It's just you got leaders or reptilians trying to get into leader positions. Like I said, there's been claims that leaders have already been or are already reptilians, but
Putin does.
it's still a work in progress of them taking over the
He
world.
looks like a lizard.
Exactly. We're gonna die now, by the way.
That's
I mean, the Chinese president kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh.
that reptilian hasn't got his form right.
Also, that's illegal to say in China. Like
I think I have heard that before.
literally the Winnie the Pooh part.
That's crazy.
You can say Winnie the Pooh, just not in the same sentence as...
As I forget his name. Zhao something.
The main conspiracist that is like big on this, he's the one that spread it, named David Icke. Have you heard of him?
Of Mike and Ike fame?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh, whoa!
Hold on. You recognized that name immediately and said Mike and Ike?
The candy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What was the name?
David Icke.
Okay, but I didn't make that connection at all.
Or maybe it's David Icke. I'm not sure.
If my last name was Ick, I'm going by Ike.
Yeah.
Is it I-K-E?
It's I-C-K-E.
I'd say Ick.
David Ick.
Well, you'll find out. You might consider him icky. So.
Okay.
By the way, Ryder, his name is Xi Jinping.
Winnie the Pooh.
So, David was a British radio host
Oh no, that's the General Secretary.
that
that's right.
I believe he got into politics after a while. He used to just do sports and whatnot, but then he started talking about conspiracies and stuff like that. He started talking about the Reptilians, which got him kicked out. One of the main UK news, sports
BBC?
news. No, I don't remember
that's
what
just
they
British
called it, but
broadcasting channel, but
Yeah, but it was.
I mean, that's kind of
It
like-
was essentially the sports channel there.
yeah. So he was telling everybody that most of the world's leaders, ancient and modern, were actually reptilians in disguise. He believed that the Merovingian,
Mayro what?
Let me read it.
Merovingian dynasty.
Merovingian?
Merovingian dynasty.
Mayro vegan?
Anyways, it's the royal family that united most of Europe. He believed those were reptilians.
Oh.
He believes the royal British family is reptilians. The Rothschilds, which is a powerful
That's
family of
another subject
business.
in itself.
I mean, yeah, but
Family
one of the
businessmen.
what was it? Like one of the
They're
richest.
the wealthiest.
Yeah.
They were the richest family back in like the beginning of the 1900s.
And there's the BlackRock Foundation, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think that rules like a
What
lot of
year
stuff.
was this all in? Real quick.
I believe when he was spreading this, it was in the 90s.
Ah.
Yeah. He wrote a book called The Biggest Secret and released it in 1998. And that's what all this comes from is
Did
he
you
wrote
read
it in
his
this book and stuff. I didn't read his book.
How much is the book?
I don't know.
You didn't look it up?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't think anybody would be interested in buying it.
Well, I mean, we gotta read.
No, I've
it.
got some other books that are more interesting. That would be way more interesting reading his book.
But you stopped the royal family.
Yes, he believed that it was the royal British family, the Rothschilds, and the Bush family,
Like
including
George
our
Bush?
2 Bush presidents. He believed those were reptilians. I think to name other ones, he thought Barack Obama, the Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, Henry Kissinger, Bob Hope, Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton were all reptilian.
Bill Clinton was included in that.
And
Yes.
Hillary.
Okay.
And
I heard Hillary, but I didn't hear the Bill part.
I can kind of believe that with Hillary. She kind of looks funny and acts funny.
I mean, personally, I find lizard people to be a little bit of a stretch, but
But if if
But if it
anyone
is
was
real,
gonna
okay,
be
okay.
a lizard
Exactly.
person, I mean, it's gonna be Hillary Clinton. Let's Pokemon go to the polls.
Oh my God.
That's something a lizard person would say. Come on.
My fellow
Alien
humans.
trying to fit into human society.
Exactly.
They were what's popular
Come,
right
other
now.
humans, let us go to the puddle of water.
So David actually had a cool name for them, the
A race
Archons.
name? The
Archons?
The Archons.
How's that spelled?
Archons.
Archon.
It could be
Or is it-
Archons,
yeah.
but
No,
I'm pretty sure it's
gotta be
Archons. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's a real word that I think is like, is that messenger?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead and continue.
The lizard people come from the star system Alpha Draconis. Makes sense, right?
Draconis, is that what you said?
Alpha Draconis.
Okay. I did look up Archon, and the definition is essentially a title of public office. So
No, that's
it's
fitting. Yeah.
Ruler or lord in Greek.
But also, like, the dude had to choose the coolest sounding star system.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you look through the list and went, Draconis.
Well, this is what
Gotta be it.
whether he made it up or not, this is where he believes they came from. He believes how it went down was that these lizard people, long time ago, found Earth, and the true, full-blood lizard people decided that they wanted to take over the world or whatever. So what they did was they took some humans, either mated with them or just, mixed their blood with theirs, and they made a half-breed. And that could explain why they could morph into human form easier, I guess.
Odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that somehow connected to the abductions?
It could be, yeah. But this is supposed to happen long time ago.
Okay, so now you're getting into ancient astronaut theorists.
Yeah, I mean,
It's gotta be aliens.
so as far back as the Dynasty the Dynasty family, which would be a couple hundred years. So interesting enough, they called these hybrids the Babylonian Brotherhood.
So Babylonian because they've brought together the two races, I guess.
I guess so. Why is Babylonian always?
It always seems to come back down to religion.
Yeah, I
On
mean,
all these
they're always
conspiracy
mixed with
theories.
something.
Yeah.
I mean, they were an ancient. They were like the bad guy in the Bible, in the Old Testament, for a while.
Babylonians?
hmm
I thought just because they were bringing the world together, though, wasn't it?
I don't remember everything about it. It's been a long time since I've read the Old Testament, but
Well, the Tower of Babylon was destroyed by God.
I thought that was the Tower of Babel.
Isn't that the same?
I'm not sure. I don't remember if the Babylonians are tied in with the tower that.
But I mean,
I think it was.
yeah, I would think so because the names are similar, but I could be wrong on that. I've never been able to actually read the Bible. I always get kind of done with it, like first chapter.
New Testament's where it's at. It's a lot. There's so much wisdom and stuff like that that's interesting. Anyways, so they were genetically modified for this mission. They were sent down to Earth to take over it. Interesting enough, he also believed that the Babylonian Brotherhood was also Illuminati. So,
I've heard that tie.
yeah, Illuminati, or according to him, are reptilians.
Okay, not to dive too deep into the Illuminati. So he believes that what is it, Babylonian Brotherhood,
Yeah,
which I'm assuming based on the name started how long ago?
several hundred years ago. I'm not sure exact time.
So it started, let's say, you think 1500s is a good rough calculation?
Yeah,
Okay, so let's say 1500s, these alien people survive the Black Plague, survive whatever disease and all that. They go through, they end up in the middle of the 1800s. If they're the ones that started the Illuminati, they're one of the biggest losers in, I want to say, England at the time. Because, the person who created the Illuminati was just a fucking loser. Really and truly. Because that dude was just a guy who went, I want to make the...
Wasn't it supposed to be like
Freemasons?
philosophers?
No, he wanted to copy the Freemasons.
Yeah, but
He was like, I want to do what the Freemasons did, but be more secretive.
yeah.
wait, back then, how secretive were the?
Back then, they did have evidence that the Illuminati was
Freemasons?
real.
No, the Illuminati.
Yeah.
No,
The
100,
Illuminati and
like,
the Freemasons.
I
like,
sent you a picture of the Freemasons building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went out of town and I saw another building of theirs.
I mean,
yeah, you sent
not
a
to
picture.
yet again dive too deep into the Illuminati. The Illuminati was real.
yeah,
It existed.
yeah.
Fun fact, you know who killed the Illuminati?
The Freemasons?
The Catholic Church.
Really? Yeah, I think that's what I've.
I
haven't
okay,
looked into
so
the Illuminati in a long time, but I heard that the Illuminati started to go against the Catholic Church for some
well,
policy.
I believe the Illuminati at maybe not when it started, but I believe I read something about the Illuminati being philosophers at one point.
Yeah,
They were a bunch of people who thought they were smarter than everyone else, but in
Philosophers.
reality, like not even that. Like
No,
not,
I mean, have you ever talked to a philosopher?
no,
Have
but
you?
like
Yeah.
I think you've talked to someone
great
who
subject,
thinks they're a philosopher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
These people weren't philosophers. But, I mean,
They just weren't smart.
we're talking about the Illuminati way too much.
But it's
My point being, when the Illuminati started, this dude who started it was a loser. 100%.
Just a quick mention I wanted to put in. The fact that the Catholic Church is the one that went against them is probably why, like, all the satanic ties to the Illuminati and the Freemasons came from.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And just to say, don't go with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But why is he a loser?
Okay, maybe he wasn't that big of a loser.
He actually had a job.
He might have been...
A philosopher?
He might have been a professor of law.
Pretty important. Like I said, what I remembered was that they just had different ideals from the Catholic Church, and went underground and meet up to talk about it and stuff.
Right, and the Catholic Church, is very... No, that's not cool. You can't have ideals different from us. We're
satanic.
in control.
Yeah, they just slap the name satanic, and then everyone's against them.
Which is why now everybody believes it, and it became a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Which means the Catholic Church is actually in control of the Illuminati, Freemason secrets.
They are. Well, they're the ones that are like I would love to do a conspiracy theory against the Catholics because they're such a
Okay. All right.
wild, crazy bunch.
So, okay, maybe he wasn't that big of a loser. I just remember him being kind of a loser. But looking at him real quick, his godfather, all right, as we've already established, David Icke believes the Illuminati are reptilians, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
What's the last name?
The godfather of the guy who started the Illuminati is Johann Adam von Eichstätt.
What? That's
and
crazy.
You know how when people sometimes throughout history they start cutting letters off of their last names?
Yeah, because they move and
Is
they're like,
Johann
that's too hard.
Adam von Eichstätt the great grandfather? Great grandfather of David Icke?
Could be.
Is he actually a reptilian?
And he's trying to tell us all because he's actually a hybrid?
He's trying to point the finger so no one points it back.
Everyone point the finger back at him. Stop buying Mike and Ike's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're funding the lizard people.
We're funding the lizard people. Come on, guys. Do you have more on that?
Let's see.
He's just wasting the recorder's battery by doing research right now.
No, some took a negative view, as in Austin Berman, who, despite writing that his goals were equality and liberty, together with the most absolute independence, and are the substitutes for all human or all rights and all property, saw this more dangerous than beneficial and thought him as the human devil. Others
So, like
took a
the
more
Antichrist?
positive. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison wrote a letter. Ultimately, I'm just going to leave it at that man is a loser.
Okay.
We'll save it for the Illuminati episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But David Icke claims that their goal, the Illuminati, the Babylonian Brotherhood, the Reptilians, their goal is to keep the people in a state of fear because they feed on fear.
So the Catholic Church.
And it's also suspected that they feed on blood.
Is this how the Chupacabra started?
Is the Chupacabra a reptilian?
Some describe them as being reptilian-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're shapeshifters.
Could be the reptilians brought the dogs.
Or maybe they just shapeshifted into what they saw as a dog.
Maybe they have a hunting mode.
Maybe.
Maybe you know how there's like humans who have no contact. They're basically raised in the wild. Like there's the wolf boy.
Yeah.
They're what is that called? I mean, it's another word for wild.
Uncontacted.
No, it's feral. That's the word.
Yeah. What if the Chupacabra is a feral reptile?
Man, that'd be crazy.
Isn't a part of their society at all. It was a small subset that like grew up.
Well,
and they're like the most wildest form.
Well, like we said, that they were hybrids, right? They were genetically modified. What if one went wrong
And it
it
escaped.
messed up and escaped? Yeah.
Subject 626.
But they want to do away with elections and all freedom to form a singular government called the New World Order. That is their main goal. It's weird because they want to form, or they want fear because they feed on fear. And they do that, what they claim, is by, creating wars or rumors of wars and stuff like that. Propaganda, yeah.
I don't want to touch the topic too much because it feels a little current.
I think it's a topic that will always be.
I mean, that's fair, but with how heated some of the politics have gotten.
Our politics have been heated for a while now, if not since the beginning of
it's just
America.
been getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the real question, is it actually more heated than it used to be? Or is it because that now that we're older, we just are actually paying attention to it, and it's just always been like this?
I think so.
That could be a possibility, but when I say it's getting worse, I'm thinking more about, like, the professionalism.
Yeah.
I feel like professionalism has just died among politicians.
Oh, 100%. But not to argue against David Icke or anything, so far that you have said contradicts each other. Because, like, if their goal is we want to make a new world order, one ruler, one nation,
one government,
government, one ruler, and all that, then that gets rid of wars. What, you're starting war with yourself? No, or civil war? Wouldn't it be more beneficial if you keep it one nation, like the U.S. or Russia or whatever, and you could just keep starting wars? Like, that sounds like if what they feed on is fear, that sounds like the more probable, like the best scenario for them.
Honestly, yeah.
Well, they could maybe already have this new world order and be doing exactly that. There's separate plans, quotes.
I mean, the other side of that is, like, what I know of George Bush, it makes sense.
W or George Bush?
Jr.
W.
Okay. Yeah. What I know of George W. Bush is him thinking he's a reptilian. Kind of makes sense. Because he did have a plan. They were trying to pass a bill that would make America, the Americas, have one unified money system. And they also, if I remember correctly, called it like the world order or some shit like that.
Oh, crap.
And especially when you take in the time frame that this dude did everything,
in the
that
90s,
was around
yeah.
that time, so it does make sense.
Okay.
Ultimately, look at Star Wars. The way he is describing what they want is they want to be the Galactic Empire.
Right.
But if you took the rebels out of the Galactic Empire, then what fear are they feeding on? Just the constant fear of the stormtroopers?
I think so. I think that's like their main goal is to take over, because once they take over, they don't have to pretend anymore.
Right. Like,
and imagine you're a citizen and you're slaving away in a mine, and behind you walks a reptilian making sure you're doing the work. You're going to be freaking scared.
So, yeah, and in Star Wars, like, even without the rebels, there are scenes, I think it was Rogue One, where a group of stormtroopers was going down, like, a main street, and everyone was kind of like, oh,
yeah.
And like,
yeah, the
backing
Kenobi
away.
show, that it shows that really well when the Inquisitors, it's a good show. Inquisitors come in, everyone's terrified of them.
Like, afraid and backing off.
Yeah.
But also, I'm just trying to think about this from like a more logical standpoint. You know
Right.
what else causes a lot of fear? Just saying, if I'm imagining this is like a Monsters Inc. universe, but instead of using screams and terror for power, that's just what they eat somehow.
Yeah.
So if that's what you eat, wouldn't it also be a lot more beneficial to just scare the shit out of people?
Just jumping around
Like
corners.
doing, as we said, how the chupacabra. I mean, it could be a reptilian. Wouldn't that shit right there be the best way of scaring people?
Well,
Like,
I think what it is like,
Are they
weak
weak physically?
Well, that opens the door of, if they're not in control, then they can get killed. The government can figure out about them and shoot them down. But if they're in control, they don't have to worry about that.
half of the people David Icke believes are reptilians are now dead.
Yeah, but they had children.
Yeah, this is true. Actually, one of the other people that are believed to be reptilians, I believe, is Bush's daughter.
My point is just say they take over the world. We're living in that, stormtrooper level walking down the street. Ultimately, I don't know. But I'm going to be less scared of the soldiers of the Reptilian walking down the street than the rumors that has a reptilian, some kind of beast that is murdering people. I'm going to be more scared of the cryptid serial killer than the government.
This is true.
In this scenario.
Well,
My fear levels are going to be higher.
at the same time, the fear when it comes to an empire walking by and everything, I mean, it's the same type of mystery. Like, you don't know how you're going to offend them somehow, and they just kill you for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, real life example. Imagine the fear they felt as a Jew in a Nazi-controlled country.
That had to be awful.
Yeah. Now, throw the Jew sucker in.
No Nazis, just the Jew sucker.
But that's what I mean, the Jew sucker. Instead of the Nazis, slaughtering millions of Jews, it's a group of beasts going through sucking the blood out of just the Jews.
Okay,
Tell
actually,
me, if you lived in 1940s Germany, which one ultimately is more scary? A supernatural being hunting down your race, or a horrible
But human.
Yeah,
I would
but human. Like, the supernatural is always going to be more scary.
Right.
I disagree unless this supernatural creature is shown to have a form of intelligence. That's what makes these things scary. They are smart enough to, control people.
I get what you're saying, because it's
they
like
can make
bears are only.
militaristic plans.
Yeah.
A beast is
You're
feral.
stuck in a room with a Nazi and a bear. Which one's scarier?
The Nazi.
How?
Wait, hold on. Is the Nazi a man?
Yes.
Yeah, the Nazi.
Oh, okay.
We're getting a whole different subject here.
Okay, all right. You're stuck in a room with a Nazi and Chupacabra.
Well, I'm not a goat, so the
Damn.
Nazi.
You know what?
I'm also not a Jew, but I don't know. Honestly, the Nazi's still scarier to me.
Well, from a logic
the Chupacabra I
standpoint,
might be able to turn against the Nazi
I just
first.
feel like the unknown would be so much scarier.
I don't disagree, but like I was saying, from a logical standpoint, I think the Reptilians want a new world order so they can be control, so they just have control. They don't have to worry about, what if the government finds out about us? We are the government. We just go boo and get our fed for the day.
They can just go kick in doors and be like, all right, you're up.
Yeah,
Taking
and
this
like I
family
said,
out.
they also claim that they feed on blood. So if scaring is not good enough, I'll just drink their blood. What does that create? Fear.
Yeah. We're just cattle.
But that's my argument in a nutshell right there.
Well, it's okay. Cattle
I'd be
is a
way more
great
afraid
example.
of the potential of just like any day they could kick in my door and just take me away.
Right.
Whereas with a beast, it's like, okay, I have a chance. So it's not a great chance, but like I have a better chance of not running into it. And if it does show up, it may not be smart enough to get me, and I can kill it.
I think the Chupacabra part of this is a bad example. But what do you think?
Okay, that creature
What was the government style of the 90s in Mexico?
in Mexico.
Yeah. I mean, the cartel was in the 90s.
Yeah,
I believe so.
I mean, the
So what do
cartel's
you-
still
what do you
essentially in
think
charge there.
People in Mexico were more scared of when the Chupacabra stuff was at its height.
The fucking
Chupacabra
cartel.
Or the cartel.
Cartel.
The cartel. I would say the cartel. If it was one person, one cartel member, yeah, I'd probably be more afraid of the
I'm talking
beasts.
like,
but
say you're a farmer in the middle of, nowhere Mexico, right? Where a lot of the reports of the Chupacabra come from. Those people probably aren't even thinking of the cartel, but they're thinking of the goat sucker.
yeah,
But at the same time, are they more afraid of them getting attacked or their cattle, their goats?
No matter what, there's still fear in that.
I'd say it's a weaker fear.
so I will say people will be scarier than beasts because beasts. Why do they want to kill you? They're just hungry. Cartel members
Some animals-
want to see you suffer, and they want to see your family suffer.
That right there is why people are scarier. However, there are some animals that do hunt for just fun, like cats.
Cats, yeah.
Okay.
But still, they're not going to make you suffer. They're just
They
enjoying
might.
the hunt.
They might. They
Not
don't
by
realize that
purpose,
they're
though.
They don't realize that they're torturing you. They're
Right.
just playing.
Right.
Skinwalker Ranch is scarier when it is a unknown force that you're messing with than say it's a pack of wolves.
Yeah, that
That is what
that is-
brings the
yeah.
fear with Skinwalker Ranch. That's kind of my point.
It's a supernatural that
Yes.
you have no control over, no say. Like, there's not even a chance of convincing.
Like, if I'm in the 1920s and there's a pack of wolves like starting killing my cattle, all right, this is just living. There's a shape-shifting monster out in the woods that I shot 7 times with my gun at close range.
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no hope. There
One
feels like
thing-
there's no hope. Yeah.
One thing, still intelligence. 2, it is in a localized area, so you can just get away from that.
I also think like y'all are taking the chupacabra part a little too literally. Imagine it's
Yeah, I get that it was an example.
yeah,
But
imagine it's
what's that
a
bear?
caught on camera. It's shape shifting on a Ring doorbell.
Yeah, no, that's terrifying.
You
But what's
it's like a little girl that goes up to a Ring doorbell that knocks on the door, and it's some family, and that family ends up massacred.
Ryder, what's that bear from that movie uses the voices of the people that it's killed?
Winnie the Pooh.
Annihilation.
Yeah, that thing is terrifying. But it's only really terrifying when it's nearby.
Yeah.
With a controlling government, you don't know when they could show up. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
But also, if this was a giant group of alienistic creatures that we don't know how many there are on Earth,
Why-
if they just started going hunting,
Yeah, no, I agree on that.
Yeah.
Like, why haven't they just taken over? Maybe they're physically weak. Well, okay, one, I have to preface, don't actually believe this. But in the situation where they're real...
like I'm just using this as an example. Like in my brain, that's what I think of.
Yeah, he's
why
saying
haven't
that.
they just come in with war? Yeah, no, I agree.
Or let's look at a weaker country overall, North Korea. There's also in North Korea not a lot of surveillance, not a lot of information that gets in or out.
They've completely taken over that place. We have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, they could take over that and just use it as a breeding ground. And
And
there's
if-
just, the people who escape the border just have these horror stories of these hideous monsters that let them build up the population every 5 years. And then they go on a hunt and take out 3/4 of the population.
Right, but here's the thing. They're in control. And like you said, just every 3 months or so, they just kind of go out and hunt. That's terrifying. But they are the people in control. These are an alien creature that come from Alpha Draconis, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so if they have the technology to go that distance, like how many light years away is that? It's got to be a lot, right? So
yeah.
if they have the technology to do that, why are they not just already completely in control? We are cattled into like metal boxes, and you know what I mean?
I mean, and
Right.
also, like, continuing that, if they came here hundreds of years ago and they flew that far,
Yeah.
they definitely have superior technology over us.
Dude.
So why did they take over the world then?
Well,
Why make the hybrids at all?
I don't know.
You came here on a spaceship.
Maybe they feed more on people believing that they are people.
What if? Okay. What if? This was happening several hundred years ago, and they're looking. Look, they're playing with swords and shields and stuff like that. This will
Show 'em
be
a gun.
easy. We'll just make our hybrids and have them handle it. And then as the hybrids are like, 100 years later, or a couple hundred years later, they keep getting better and better, and this is getting harder and harder.
Why did it take it so long? Like that's what
But
doesn't
at the
make
same-
sense to me. Like, okay, say it was just 10 of them that came across the from space.
Just a handful.
Yeah, just a handful of them.
That makes
Came
more
in
sense.
a spaceship,
This is true.
light years away.
Maybe they crashed.
Light years.
Maybe they stole the spaceship. They're
You know
not
what?
actually.
That right there is a way better. They could have crashed.
But
That is also not David Icke's theory. His theory is not they crashed.
No, I
it's
know.
that they came here.
This is us
I'm just having
speculating.
fun
And-
with this theory.
Yeah, and if they came here hundreds and hundreds of years ago in a spaceship, and if they have space travel, they probably have weapons. And they're sitting there, and Genghis Khan is taking over a large percentage of the earth. They could just be like, we got these laser machine guns on this ship. Let's just wipe out this army real quick.
But that's assuming they have that.
But why would they not?
Yeah, why would they not? If
Were they
I
a
don't know.
peaceful race? If they were a peaceful race, then why are they coming here to take over?
They're obviously not. They're
Yeah,
very
so if-
evil.
So
and
they would have had war,
blood-sucking.
which means they would have weapons.
This is
These
true.
weapons
You
would be
see?
enough to function with a spaceship that goes billions of light years.
But what if they just don't have destructive lasers? What if they just have normal little machine guns?
Okay,
A
here's the
machine
thing.
gun
Here's
to
the thing.
Genghis Khan, though?
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. Okay. The only thing that I can think of is that they somehow have weapons that humans just somehow have a complete immunity to. Like, there's something that's super deadly to them, and then they shoot it at a human, and they're like,
It did
oh,
nothing.
No. Okay, we're gonna have to do this slowly.
Here's another thing. What if they're so great? What if they're so powerful, the full-blood reptilians, that this is just a project?
They're just having fun?
They're just having fun. It's not really about... Now, to the Babylonian Brotherhood, this is serious. They were sent on a mission.
So with that, that's more of the true reptilians are scientists. This is a science experiment.
Yeah.
They made these hybrids. They captured,
And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because
I mean,
think about the UFO abductions. They're always seem very like, oh, we're poking and prodding, we're testing them. They just seem like a bunch of scientists.
Okay, but based on that, it makes me think that they just took the dumbest people from their planet and like, let's see how long it takes them to take over this.
They
makes-
made their dumbest people.
Yeah, let's let Bob procreate with these weird fleshy creatures.
And see what happens.
At that
yeah.
point, they may not even be lizard people. It's just the people that they brought down here.
What?
They genetically engineered to be lizard people.
Also, at that point, why would you design these things to feed on fear?
Because fear is everywhere. We had religion at the time, which, especially back then, fear was the main source of power. If you were afraid of your king, your church, you're not going to go against them.
Also, to throw in, when I Google Alpha
Draconis.
it pops up a star called Thauban, and that is 303.3 light years away.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it's 303.
Light years.
That's it? Just 300?
Yeah.
Okay.
303.3.
Okay.
But still.
That's still
That's a
light
well,
years.
that's far, far away.
But I mean, most stars you think of are millions,
yeah.
billions.
Well, it makes sense why they would come here because they're
It's the closest.
relatively close by.
Maybe they had one that was even closer. I mean,
ultimately,
that's still light years.
that's light years.
That's advanced technology.
Yeah.
Or it took them a really long time to get here. They must have
Hey,
killed
you know
off their
what?
planet.
I don't want to really give David Ick
The credit
any,
of thinking
any
that far.
compliments, but like also say they're 300 years old. I mean, 303 light years. Say their ship traveled at 1 light year a year.
That's still
That's
300
that's
years.
300 years ago. They just see our planet.
I mean, if
the
they
math
have
kind of makes
spaceships
sense.
that go
the
that
math kind
far.
of math is what I mean.
Yeah.
But how did they get something with that mass to travel at that speed? Because the bigger that you have, the harder it is to get to that speed.
You want to know something else I don't like about the reptilian theory? It's a personal ick, I guess.
I hate you.
When it comes to alien theories, I always hate how the aliens get described in almost every single way.
Is it because they're humanoid?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that makes sense.
I
Because
feel like every single thing that most of the time talks about aliens, they're always looking at it as they have to look slightly like us. They have to be bipedal. They have to have arms.
carbon life forms.
It could just be a jellyfish. Like, I think Mass Effect does such a great example of what aliens could actually look like.
Yeah,
because
they're
we
not
have
just
no
mimics
idea.
of us. They have their own unique designs of how they function and
Because
stuff
of
like
how
that.
their planet was, they would have evolved differently.
Yeah. Especially a creature so insanely advanced that they're shapeshifters.
Mm-hmm.
But they look like us
Already?
mixed with snake.
Yeah.
And
One thing that I can argue for the humanoid shape, only because it's how humans evolved. Once we started to stand up straight, that's when our intelligence actually picked up. I believe, don't quote me on this because I'm not 100%, but I believe scientists figured out some sort of link between uprightness and intelligence.
Okay.
But actually,
a dolphin,
yeah, I was about to bring up dolphins.
Yeah, dolphins are almost as smart as we are.
They're probably smart.
But look at them. They're very smart, very smart. They have their own language and everything. But have they conquered any countries? Have they conquered land?
Have they conquered oceans? We don't know.
Oh, dude, no. I would make the argument they've conquered. If you are a sea creature that for fun, what you like to do is pick on pufferfish
because it gets you high.
Getting high on their toxin by stabbing you and just passing it around like a volleyball, you've probably conquered your thing. If you're sitting there going, I'm going to bite the head off the fish and then use it as a fleshlight, like, you've probably conquered your the ocean at that point.
Yeah, because
like that's I could go, 5 miles north right now and probably find a group of people playing volleyball while getting high.
Yeah.
Like
volleyball and high is a weird combination.
But I bet I can still find it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's billions of people.
There's a Sonic with a volleyball net just a couple of miles up the road.
Okay.
I bet there's a couple of high-ass people.
Got the munchies. They're
exactly.
going, hey, look, volleyball, let's play.
Like.
All right, serve it.
But.
Huh?
I said, all right, serve it.
But, like, ultimately, it's like in D&D, the plasmoids.
Yeah.
Why isn't that what they look like? That also makes sense from a shape-shifting perspective.
You go, yeah.
Like, that's just a personal thing when it comes to aliens that I always think of.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't
it's
they
a good
more
point.
alien?
Like, why do they look so human? Kind of like Skylar was saying, it's a formula that works.
Right.
And
it's the only one that we know.
Yeah. And, well, I'm looking at this as logically, and, like, if this was real, it would kind of make sense that, oh, who's the top dogs of this other planet? Well, they can't look like us because they're not us. We didn't go over there. They formed all by themselves. Oh, what the heck? They kind of look like us. Well, it could just be that that's just how the math works. The ones that stand up straight on 2 legs take over the world because, like you said, the intelligence comes in with that later on.
That's where the intelligence comes from. Then why are dolphins so smart?
Yeah.
But they haven't done what we've done.
But
that we
they're
know
also
of.
Smart.
I know they're smart.
They're very.
But they still haven't done what we've done.
Crows have the have the intelligence of a 3-year-old.
Dogs have the intelligence of a 5-year-old.
Okay, but I would argue that a raven is smarter than a dog because of the things that I've seen them do.
Yeah, they're pretty clever.
Yeah.
But
my point being, like, looking at a crow or a dog and looking at a human look vastly different.
Well,
where are the dog aliens?
Another part of it is we got opposable thumbs,
Yeah,
which gave us the ability to use tools. When we started to use tools, that is when our advancement really began.
That's what I'm getting at. Dolphins are really intelligent. They can be the smartest of smartest. There's probably dolphins that are way smarter than a lot of humans. But the problem is,
at least,
we invented things to go visit them. They haven't invented anything to come and visit us.
Because we're dumb.
Okay. All right. Octopuses.
They're really smart. Yeah.
People believe that the octopuses are actually aliens, and that there are fortresses down there that they live in.
I think octopus is a great example of. I mean, an octopus can open a jar.
Yeah, there's a story.
Tell me a crow. If I take a jar and I tighten that sucker, tell me any other creature you know of that is not human or bipedal that can open that jar.
I bet a dog could if it's the right size.
They're not.
I've seen a dog and twist a jar.
They would have the capability, but they have the smarts to do it.
I have. I mean, there's some dogs that I've seen that are that smart.
You can take an octopus, show it through glass. It's whatever is the treat you give it. Put it in a jar, twist on the lid, put it in there, and 10 minutes will go by, and that octopus is in that jar.
Yeah,
even if you
they're
took
smart.
the jar away from the glass in order to close it so that they don't know how you closed it, they will figure it out.
So, where are the octopus aliens?
Like I said, they are the aliens according to some people.
Yeah.
I
Again,
believe that theory so much more than the little gray men.
Yeah. Okay, lizard people though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we probably
Sorry.
need to get back on topic.
I mean, I will say we have about 55 minutes of recording.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you've been into your script yet.
Yeah, we still got a little bit to go.
Just barely the opening.
So one question someone might have is, okay, how do we know this is just not just a bunch of crap made up in the 90s? Actually, like I mentioned that David Icke had a book that came out in...
1998?
Yes. There was a book made in 1888 by
100
a...
years exactly.
No.
No, 10, sorry.
No.
No, that...
110.
Wow.
110.
There you go, bud.
There we go.
I'm very smart.
It was written by like a Russian philosopher by the name of Helena Blavatsky.
Blavatsky?
I'm butchering this name, but it was called The Secret Doctrine, and she put it down as nonfiction. Like that's what she would. She put it on a shelf. It would go in the nonfiction.
Right.
It got moved to fiction.
By the lizard people.
Probably, yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
But what was interesting about this book was it talked about a great civilization from a long time ago consisting of dragon men on a continent called Lemuria.
Are we lizard people?
That's what I love about that. It's called Lemuria. It was the continent that these dragon men were on.
I feel like I've heard that name before. Isn't that like an actual country?
No, this is made up. This is just as made up as Atlantis because this book also featured Atlantis.
Ancient astronaut theorists believe that Atlantis.
Maria? L-E?
Yeah, L-E-M-U-R.
It's spelled like lemur and then with I-A.
Yeah.
Lemuria.
Oh my... Okay, so y'all said Lemuria. Y'all were all wide mouth and all that. My brain didn't make the lemur connection. I was thinking America.
No,
Sorry,
lemurs.
I am sometimes not smart. Lemuria.
A continent proposed in 1864 by zoologist Philip Sclater.
Dude,
I didn't hear about that.
Tripping.
Also theorized to have sunk, just like Atlantis.
Okay, but yeah, Atlantis is described almost like a city.
Yeah,
Lemuria,
this is a continent.
It's a continent.
it's huge.
Yeah.
A continent.
I'm talking bigger than Asia.
Oh wow.
Look at the size comparison. The red outline is Lemuria.
Right, but the entire center is filled with water. So was it just one giant square that, like, they lived on the outline of this square?
No.
That might be showing that it's sunken. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like, cause that.
I just found the same
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bigger than Australia. It took up the entirety of the Hawaiian Islands. And, God, I mean, that's got to be at least the size of China.
Also, do these people not know about Pangea?
It didn't fit. But no, they
No.
didn't. That's actually relatively
They
recent.
may have not believed in that. They may have thought that was just a theory that they didn't think they agreed with. We need to go over.
Give me the evidence.
Here we have this conspiracy theory, but is there any proof to it? I think Lemuria is still around, and it's Madagascar, where the lemurs come from.
I mean,
Okay, now
As-
we're talking.
I'm just joking.
I love the idea of it, but
I'm just
it's a
joking.
little too small.
So were the penguins there?
No, but there are reptilians. Funny enough, there's not really a lot of proof. It's been shown, studies show, that there are 12 million people that believe in this theory in the U.S. alone. So that's pretty crazy. It's either there must be some kind of proof, or there's just a lot of mindless, dumb people. But
Well, I mean, stories are fun.
yeah, but it's saying these are believers,
I
not
know.
just they hear about it. But and then, like I've said earlier, it's been brought up a lot in like media and politics.
Right. We're talking about the lizard people specifically.
Yes.
My bad. Lemuria got brought up, and I was like, well, I mean, there's no proof, so like you could say Atlantis sank to the bottom of the ocean just like this place, and like.
Well, no. There's
people that believe in the
yeah.
lizard.
There's
folk.
a lot of people that believe in this theory. I think one of the main things that get people rolling about this is the videos you see online where people are talking, usually news anchors talking, and then suddenly their faces glitch or their eyes change. And I actually got a couple of videos to show you of that and see what y'all think.
I just really wanted to figure out what percentage of people believe in the reptilians. Because you say 12 million. I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of people.
12 million in the USA alone.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
I know. My brain's going, that's a lot of people. It's 3.6%.
I'm actually amazed that it's 3.6%, though. That's still a lot.
Still a decent amount of people, but
Yeah.
like...
It's not like 50% or anything, but still, that's a lot of people that believe in this.
Yeah.
So, this video that I've got is of an eye glitch. And I've seen a couple of these before, and they are like very eerie.
Forces and protecting the population and minimizing civilian casualties have long been a cornerstone of the counterinsurgency doctrine. Civilian casualties have long been a cornerstone of the counterinsurgency doctrine.
That? Okay. Alright. I want to discount your video. That looks like a really bad Photoshop job.
I agree.
Well, I mean, it could be. That's all this could be, is just people messing
Like
with
when
the
you said
audio.
eye glitches, I had in my brain what I thought this was going to be. And that just looked like someone was like, hey, filter.
Yeah. But these are supposed to be like authentic recordings of the 90s. They didn't have filters like that we do today.
But, I mean, I think the main reason why I think that is in that video, the resolution of the eyes that go over the other eyes.
Completely changed.
Yeah, it looks higher resolution than the one that goes over the reporter's eyes. Like, the quality is better.
Right. So, like, it may be original footage that someone took and then just messed with the eyes just to be like, hey, they're a lizard.
It would be like if I took the VHS recorder that I bought, recorded you talking with it, and we bought the best video effects program. Not even the best.
We could also... Oh, well...
I mean, just the
basic
editing program.
Yeah.
Or Photoshop, really.
Well, to me...
Photoshop is a little bit different because...
But, I mean, did that really look like anything special? All you do is take the video, go frame by frame, and make sure the eyes are right over.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks kind of like crappy quality, even with the eyes.
I mean, play the scene again and then pause it literally right where it changes.
Forces and protecting the population and minimizing civilian casualties have long...
No, it's kind of a bad
Dude,
example.
You know, okay. Just for the people listening, this is a YouTube video titled "News Reporter's Eyes Glitch During Live Broadcast." It's uploaded 14 years ago.
And 1.1 million views.
By Doctopi is the channel. You know what the eyes really look like? Have either of y'all ever watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when...
Oh, the main bad guy reveals that he's a cartoon,
his
too.
eyes look like where his human eyes stuff starts wearing off and his eyes start glitching out in that movie.
So, are you trying to say that the lizard people aren't actually lizard people? They're
cartoons.
people?
Ooh. I will say, so what happens here is the eyes look a little off, and she has dark brown eyes, and then suddenly they look blue, or maybe hazel or something like that.
They look like a brown hazel.
Yeah, but they change color. And
it's much brighter.
Honestly, to me, what it looks like is like when someone paints over their eyelids, they put eyes, so when they close their eyes, they look like they still have them open.
It does actually look like that.
And she has like dark eyelashes under her eyes, like she's closing her eyes, and it's happening when she's blinking. Now, I'm not saying that she painted eyes over her face, because I mean, I think there's
you can
clips.
see the lid the eyelid close and like it's normal, and
Yeah.
then she opens them again. That's kind of what we're saying about that resolution change.
Right. But I will say, I don't have all the examples I've seen of this before, but I've seen it before watching spooky, scary videos of it's usually news reporters for whatever reason.
Because they control everything. They are the propaganda.
That would make sense. If you were the lizard folk, you would probably want to take control of the media. Yeah. And inciting fear. How do you do that? By showing, look, scary storms. Oh, look, storms.
And
Or war.
And what does the media cover the most?
Bad
things.
stuff. Yeah. So that kind of goes back to what we were saying about, taking over and causing fear rather than just running around like rabid beasts and stuff like that. Because they can control what we watch and what we're afraid of. So
Wait. Hold on. I got one thing to add. The description for this video. CTV news broadcasts the weirdest, most unexpected things I've seen on TV. I do not think this is anything more than communication error in the broadcast. There are a lot of explanations that don't involve people being lizards. And on top of that, one of the top comments liked by the person, or Doctopi, is that is a rolling screen repaint artifact. The images are compressed to attempt to only store the data about the area of the screen that changes. This happens occasionally if you watch over the air antenna broadcast television when the signal is slightly degraded when repainting the screen. This is a screen reprint effect. When she blinks and the eye region data is painted on the screen, the rest of her head had moved slightly downwards, causing the eyelid and eyelashes to be old data that wasn't refreshed.
Okay. Well, I want to get into this.
No. I just wanted to read.
No, I know.
You also had that information for later.
Oh, did you?
No.
Oh.
I'm gonna touch up on what all this is. Actually, most of this could easily just be explained in that way. It's just the data is going bad because actually one of the comments on one of the other videos I'm going to show you. You know what? I'm going to choose those first. There's this one comment that says that is like, he makes a good point. All he says is, okay, show me this happening on today's technology and like high quality HD cameras. And there is no proof. All the proof we have. I mean, look at this one. This one is where their face gets all weird. And I think this has music over it, so I'm sorry about that, but his face is
Yeah, the old data made it looks like he has scales.
right. What's weird about that is he walks away as soon as it happens. His face starts to crumple up together, but I mean, look at the quality.
Yeah.
It looks like it's been recorded by...
Like you're using a home video recorder from the 90s.
Yeah.
Just to make the argument. What if that's why it's not caught? Is because the reptilians
Have gotten better?
are the people who manufacture these things. So that they do it in a way to wherever it stops you from being able to see them.
Maybe
just
so.
Throwing that out.
That's
But
pretty
to
cool.
To actually say something else, people believe in this theory and are afraid of it, so they're showing proof
That they're
but then
there.
arguing that it's not.
This next one I want to show you is of Jenna Bush.
George H.W. Bush's...
I believe so.
No, George W. Bush, not George H.W.
And so, same thing happens to her. Her face starts to get a little weird. Oddly enough, it's only on her.
Well, I mean, when they're filming this, they're using several different cameras.
Right. Did not start to happen.
And in this one, I can see how it is the old data.
Yeah.
Like, if you look close enough, you can see where the eyebrows just moved up or something.
Well, it gets worse and worse throughout the video.
Everyone else moves their head a lot less when they talk.
And she is kind of stiff.
That other lady?
Her.
Jenna?
But she moves her head a lot.
But the weird thing is, I mean, like, obviously what you need to look out for is it happening to her clothes? It's not. It's really right on her face.
Because that's where her head's moving the most.
But look at that. That doesn't look reptilian. That looks like
That looks like
a miscolored video game character.
I mean, it looks terrifying, but
Yeah,
it looks
it's scary.
Like, it looks like a Final Fantasy villain.
Yeah.
Or actually, a JRPG villain.
okay. You know those AI videos where it's like show someone morphing into a video game character,
And they
it's
get
like
all
them
black and
doing
white?
It's like them doing that to a PlayStation 2 era Final Fantasy character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But another thing to point out is if you look at her hair, it's happening to her hair too. So it's not like scales are growing on her face, because why would they scales be growing on her hair?
It's an
Okay,
illusion. They're not
okay,
actual
now hold
shape
on.
changers.
To also make the argument, I mean, because they're also generating the hair.
That's true. Most reptilians are depicted
Now,
as being bald.
to you saying how it's not happening on the bottom part of her, I think it is exactly what Skylar was saying. She's moving her head a lot, but her body
It's stiff.
is stiff.
Mm-hmm.
So if she was to move more, it'd probably appear where she is.
Dude, you know what we can do? Oh my gosh.
We can
We can
use
try-
your camera.
Oh, but the thing I
It's-
read a bit ago said it has to be
Wireless communication.
antenna. But I'm wondering if I record y'all and y'all try to sit really still, but just shake your head, if something like that would happen.
That
I
would
don't-
be
I
fun
don't
to
think it would
theorize.
with
I don't
the-
either.
Because
Test it out.
it's essentially
It's
the camera's not actually recording it; it's sending that in the information to another device. That's
yeah.
recording.
As that what I read said, this is mainly happening when being transmitted via an antenna.
Yeah. So,
But-
our arguments here are: this is old data. This is like stuff from the 90s, maybe a little bit later on,
You
but
can
still
even
late.
see- you can
This
even
is-
see where the image is bad because it's also moving like the mouth is talking over here.
That's so weird, though. She looks
But
like a zebra now.
also that's 2000s.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
still
we-
early 2000s, though.
Yeah, we didn't have that great. Like our technology jumped really big from 2006 to
Okay.
2012.
Another argument I'll make. We're talking about George W. Bush's daughter.
Uh-huh.
Which
If this was the evidence that this is happening, 'cause she's on screen with this mess up happening for 10 seconds. How would they not just, like George, the Secret Service, or whoever's there watching over, going, delete all this? Because though it says live, there's a
Right.
reason why if someone is on a screen like this and they cuss, they can bleep it out. There's
Editing.
yeah, it's a delay. So all like news channel things, they do like a little delay over
Okay.
it when it's in
Yeah.
house. So as soon as that started happening, if it was the lizard poking out, all it would take is shut this thing down now. You know?
yeah.
And just broadcasting error.
Yeah.
Well, I take you to my final video.
You have more than that. I
no,
like the little show and tell. You had like 7 videos.
No,
We've seen 3.
no, we've shown 3. I have one more.
He thought he saw more.
I thought I saw more.
No,
Ryan's lying. He's a lizard.
Show me Katy Perry.
that's where I'm getting at.
I
Our
saw
last
that one
video,
up there.
we're talking about early 2000s in the 90s. It looks like glitches. This is a video that's going viral of Katy Perry.
When did Katy Perry start?
Early 2000s.
Really? I don't remember her works until like. at
Okay,
least the
so it's not
10s.
wanting to show on the screen because this is a short.
No, you can show shorts.
It told me no.
Is that a glitz or does she have a?
She having a
Twitch.
stroke?
Yeah, it looks like she's actually like just struggling to keep that eye open.
Yeah, so she's like, well, the weird thing is
That's-
she's touching the side of her face like she's activating something.
Okay, you
No,
want to
it
know
looks
what
more like
I
she's
would
going
make?
like
She's
that.
not doing that though. Look, she's touching the side of her temple,
Yeah,
not her eye.
She is. She's 100% touching the side of her temple.
She might have a
I
migraine.
don't think this is an argument for reptilians. That bitch a robot.
But it's
I
supposed
could
to be
also
a
see
function.
this being a migraine though.
Well, a comment I read on while watching this video, it says that this is like a party trick she knows how to do. But this is just coming from a random stranger on
Yeah.
This is not like, hey, I'm Katy Perry's best friend. This is just some stranger saying this. It is very weird and it's been popping up everywhere. Now, I think that one's kind of cool because it's actually modern and it's not just showing like a weird glitch. Because a lot of those videos, they're talking and they're having like face glitches. Well, why doesn't anybody say, "Oh my gosh, what's happening to your face?"
Exactly.
Or, "Oh, hold on, your camera's messing up." No one says anything. They just keep talking.
Because they don't realize.
I mean, this is live. This is not a camera glitch. She's doing this.
I mean, if it weren't for her like looking like she's struggling to keep her eye open, I could say it could be for the photos, because like as a wink.
Yeah, but it looks like
But
she's
it doesn't look like
struggling.
she's winking. It looks like her eyelids just falling.
Yeah, and it's like, because you could see it like vibrate, like it's trying to
So it's
open.
a twitch. Do it.
It's like one of those dolls that you tilt back and their eyes close, but one of the eyelids get stuck.
It is like that. It's
Thank
just like
you,
that.
Paige Railstone, for that one. I'm just trying to see if I can find
Like an explanation. comment?
someone talking about it.
Yeah.
But
That is
ultimately-
weird. Everyone's just screaming and woo-ha, like nothing's happening.
I mean, yeah, because
all right.
what does humanity do with idols? They don't give two shits about what's going on with their lives at all. They just want to see them perform.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't think that, as I said earlier, that to me looks more like robot.
Yeah, I get
I can
that.
see that,
but
yeah, but I mean, I don't think so.
The thing they say about the reptilians is, there's three ways about disguising as humans. They say that they either possess them, they control their mind, or they shape shift into them. They wear like meat suits, and they completely have to cover head to toe to look like a human. And this is more of the evidence for that.
Okay.
Okay, her explanation does not make it any better.
What does she say?
She,
robot.
well, it's her talking about how it's a party trick,
Okay.
but she's not doing it exactly how she's doing it in that video. It just looks like she has one eye closed. I make the argument that that's not fully what's happening here. It's also the whole how immediate her eye opens and how it actually looks like it's slowly closing against her will.
Yeah.
To the video I just watched, it looks like she's just closing her eye. I know how to wink too, girl. Like,
So it has the scrunch.
I mean, it doesn't fully have the scrunch, but it just doesn't look the same.
I mean, from this far away, it looked similar.
But
But it wasn't like what she was doing.
No, I know. Like
I mean,
I saw like a slight delay with it being fully open again. This one looks legit, like, because the fact that she's putting her hand up like that tells me that she's struggling to keep her
like
eye open.
there actually looks like concern on her head face there.
Yeah,
I don't
she-
think you're. Maybe if she was like acting like a doll or dressed like a doll, that would be, make sense. She's dressed in a beer can dress.
Are those beer cans? I thought they were Mountain
They
Dew
absolutely
cans.
are.
I almost thought they were soda.
Yeah, I thought they were Mountain Dew.
This is also from 1 year ago.
Really?
Let's see, more recent. Well, with the golden top, I don't think any sodas have golden tops.
I can show you some carbonated water that does.
Oh, I've seen beers with gold tops.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm
saying
like,
sodas.
that's probably
Oh, yeah.
that probably is beer because of the golden top. That's more a color for beer cans.
I'm also willing to bet none of those are actual beer brands, because then she, performing live on screen, on stage like that, you have to kind of ask.
Or but it could be a promotion that the
That- it
beer
could also
asked
be
her
that.
to wear.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. The fact is,
You know what I'm-
her eye broke.
What the very little knowledge I have of reptilians, I'm surprised there are a couple of videos you didn't show.
Well, this is what was really strange. I found a couple of videos that were like, someone covering it. Well, obviously I'm not going to show it because that's our job to, leave commentary of what we're looking at. But, I looked at what they're recording and then I looked it up
video that they were
individually.
talking about.
Yeah. That was the weird thing. I was hoping I would just find a lot of random bits and videos. No, I had to watch someone else's video and then go find the original.
Evidence video.
You type in reptilians and about certain people, it is hard to find. There's nothing.
Unless you have the exact name of the video.
Yeah. That is like for the conspiracy, going pro for it.
So it's almost as if it's word of mouth. because someone telling this.
It's like the government is trying to hide it. It knows what I'm trying to look up, so it's giving me videos, but those videos have nothing to do with reptilians.
Well, actually, the algorithm, I think, is preferring those videos for two reasons. One,
It's
they
what other
support
people-
creators, right? And two, most people, when they look for these evidence videos, they want to listen to somebody explain it to them so that it's something that they agree with, for one.
I get you, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like I said, David Icke, whatever, believes Barack Obama is one of the reptilians. Like, okay, there's some kind of eye glitch or face morph video of Barack Obama. I look it up. It gives me so many videos about Barack Obama, but nothing to do with reptilians, about him having ties. There's not even like a commentary video about him being a reptilian. The first video you click on, it's just him explaining about how he's going to do this and that about a policy. There's one moment where I found a video, it was titled, "These guys are not human." And I watched the whole video and it had nothing to do with reptilians. It was just him talking about policies.
I'm Googling it just to see if there's anything.
There's a couple of videos I've seen of Hillary Clinton and Mark Zuckerberg, and them have.
I did want to
glitches,
talk about him, yeah.
but I can't find those videos.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is the weird thing.
Like, ultimately, this could also just be a mess up of memory.
True.
Memory is awful.
Memory is one of the worst human things in the world. Because I do know there is a video that Mark Zuckerberg came out that's obviously edited that makes his eyes look crazy.
Yeah.
I also,
He already
in
looks
my
like a robot,
brain,
though.
in my brain, how I'm imagining their eyes glitch is, do you remember Supernatural? There's the Dopplers that copy Sam and Dean, and the way you figure out if they're the shapeshifters is their eyes shine in cameras.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I remember seeing, so I'm wondering if my brain is confusing those two things.
Could be.
I
Do
mean,
y'all remember Mark Zuckerberg?
yeah, he looked like a robot.
Yes, he was. I mean, I heard that he looked up how to act more human after, getting lashed by
Okay,
the
you want to
internet.
know what's
But,
funny about that also? He clearly succeeded. Because if you look up Mark Zuckerberg now, he's just like one of the dudes, man.
Okay,
Really?
but I do have an argument for him still being human, even with that Google search. Limited social interaction, possible autism or other social disorder that causes him to be very stiff. Like anxiety.
That's definitely what it is. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of things these conspiracy theories look at.
Another video of...
But Katy
That.
Perry
She's
is,
just blinking.
is saying that it is.
She's just winking. That's all she's doing. She's not doing the eyes trying to open, but it's struggling and then
Yeah.
touch the side of her
that's-
head.
If,
I mean,
to
that could
me,
be a
if you
muscle
want to
thing.
make the argument that it's a party trick, then show you doing the exact same... The
Exact same thing that you
Yeah,
did.
I mean,
I'm sorry
Here-
to take it back to that video, but...
no, and I think it's good that we are back on that video, because the thing about some party tricks, especially something like that, it sounds like she's having to use a very specific muscle that she's either relaxing or using to make her eye closed while keeping the rest of her eye
Relaxed.
space
Yeah.
not scrunched when you're winking.
But I can do that.
Right.
I'm doing it right now.
Right. But it is a specific muscle that could have started to spasm
out, yeah.
because she was doing it for so long.
Well, this video that we just watched leaves fans thinking she suffered from paralysis live on stage.
that could just be a clickbaity title.
Yeah,
This is true.
I mean, I'm surprised that it doesn't say she might be suffering a stroke.
But I mean, like, she's fine because she goes on to perform.
Exactly.
I think that's like one of the big things why people believe this, because they hear David Icke talk about it, and then they start seeing stuff like this, and it's usually the popular guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the people in charge that act kind of
People
weird.
that have large sway in media.
Yeah.
Mike and Ike's. He's an ick. He's an ick.
So
Microphone's barely picking that up.
I want to move on to another evidence that we have for this. It's more of just a story of someone being abducted.
Once upon a time, or let me tell you a story all about how my life got turned upside down. It all started when this UFO floated above me and kidnapped me and did experiments and shoved something up my butt. And I got scared. Mama said you're going to live with your uncle up in Bel Air. I think
Okay.
I'm way funnier than I actually am, man.
Ryder, your laugh is loud enough to hurt my ears now, so I can't imagine what it's like.
Oh,
recording.
I can fix it.
So this is a story of an officer in Nebraska named Herbert Schirmer. He said he was
that name
abducted and taken onto a UFO by serpent men with a winged serpent emblem on their clothing or whatever. So it was like very military-like. This happened back in 1967 on December 3rd. So the story goes,
1967?
1967. Herbert was driving on a patrol one night. He was on the highways when he spotted a bright light up ahead of him. He thought it was a car crash, but when he got up to it, he found it was a metal, hovering, oval-shaped craft. Before Schirmer could do anything, the saucer shot straight up into the sky. Herbert told his supervisors, but nothing really came of it.
I mean, it's a hard to believe story.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised he told his superior officers.
I mean, to be honest, if I really did see that, I probably would too.
He probably was scared out of his mind.
Exactly.
So this guy is actually supposed to be like a very upstanding citizen. Like he's a great officer and all that jazz.
The police force, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is just a possibility. But he probably, pulled over some kids with some drugs. Remembered the good old days after confiscating it. Maybe had a couple shrooms or something, like a hit of acid, just tripped the fuck out.
Maybe. I mean, it goes on beyond that.
Okay.
The police officer said that he was having weird dreams and flashbacks after the incident. It haunted him for a couple of days afterwards. It wasn't just this happened, saw a saucer, ooh. He was having weird dreams and flashbacks. So he went and sought help from a hypnotist.
Well, what time period did you say this was?
This was in the 60s.
Okay. I think hypnotism was fairly big back then instead of actual, therapy.
Well, why the hypnotist is because of, I think we talked about it one time, the recovering of memories by using hypnotist.
He went to remember it, not forget it.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, he
I
wanted to see
misunderstood.
what was
Okay.
going on in his dreams. They were like memories that were coming back to him, but he didn't have a full grasp.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to this hypnotist to recover his memory. A lot of people don't believe in hypnotists. They don't believe in being hypnotized and stuff like that. I will say I have been hypnotized. All it is just little mind game type deal. It's
Well, now I want to make a comment on that. What hypnosis is really believed to be is this whole motion of, it's the pressure not going along with something when you're on stage. It's literally a mind game.
Because it's a social.
Yeah, putting you in this high strength social moment. That's why most of the time you see hypnosis in like a magic show, it's at a large crowd. It's not, on the street. It's when they have large crowds.
Yeah,
and it's because once they put you in front of 100 plus people,
right.
you not going along with it
Is rude.
is the social anxiety from that kind of forces you.
You're probably not wrong, but I will say it's not conscious, it's subconscious.
Right.
Because, like I said, as someone who has been hypnotized, I can tell you how I was one of the rare few who remember what happened. Most people that was on stage with me don't remember what happened. And I will say, there were a couple people that kind of stood there and kind of acted like they were, felt pressured, so they were trying to play along. But eventually they stopped and they ushered them off stage. They actually made them stop and get off stage. People I talked to after the fact, some did not remember a thing.
But that, I will argue with that being a form of trauma from the social anxiety. You want to forget it.
I will say this happened in a local church.
Okay.
I will also say it happened to him.
I was there.
Right. I had something to mention And then you also kind of touched on it. It's like a subconscious thing. When hypnotism is used nowadays, it's not normally a performance anymore. It's normally used in a form of therapy.
Well, it happened back then, too.
I would argue that it's technically kind of a form of meditation, just kind of diving into your subconscious.
Yeah.
From what I have seen or heard about with modern day hypnosis, it is mainly performed as a party trick. They've even, for the most part, moved away from it.
In therapy?
In therapy.
Yeah, I will get onto that. I have a great story to tell about that.
It's not a reliable thing.
Yeah,
it's a lot
exactly.
No, it's definitely not, because it's diving into, one, your subconscious, and two, your quote-unquote memories.
Yeah.
Which...
overall,
Well, hold on. I will touch
okay.
upon that. Okay, so I will say what my thought process while being hypnotized, because apparently I was one of the, if not the only one who remembered what was going on. And I will say it's not so much a conscious thing, like you were saying that, oh, it's just under pressure, better act away.
I'm not saying you are purposely doing that because of the pressure. It's a subconscious under pressure thing.
This goes for that, because I remember at one point I was listening to what was going on, and for the most part it wasn't a big deal. We had to pretend we couldn't see well, it is pretend, but he told us that he was like, okay, when you wake up, you're not going to be able to see me, and you'll think everything I do is done by a ghost. And so when I woke up, it was like me watching myself, and I started kind of like, he'd pick up a broom and put, whoa, look at it, and we're all freaking out, and it felt like so genuine the way we were reacting, but inside I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Like, I actually believe that he's not there. Like, I can see him, but like, I believe he's not there. But at one point, he's like, okay, snapped his finger, go to sleep. So we all lay down, or, slunch over our chairs. He says that when I snap my fingers, you're going to wake up and you're going to become your favorite actor. I was panicking. I was like, I don't have a favorite actor. What's going to happen? Who am I going to act like? Oh man, I hope it's nothing embarrassing. Like, am I going to act like a cartoon character? Because I know more cartoon characters than I do actual actors. And I woke up and started acting like Johnny Depp. I didn't know what was going to happen. I literally was panicking because I had no idea what my answer was. So it couldn't have been something conscious, because I literally would have woke up and just been like, I don't know who I am, because I don't know who my favorite actor was, at least back then.
Yeah.
But I woke up and started acting like Johnny Depp. I started walking around like I was Captain Jack. We started signing off autographs. I was putting Johnny Depp.
That's awesome. Did it actually look like his actual?
I couldn't say, because I mean, like, obviously I don't know what his signature looks like, but no, it was a grand old time. It was fun. So to this day, I can say that I believe in hypnotism because this happened to me. And so, to get back to point, this guy, Herbert Shermer, I want to say Herbert Shermer, he goes to a hypnotist to try to recover these memories. The hypnotist was actually a UFO investigator named Dr. Leo Sprinkles. What a name.
So, this is starting to sound more and more like code or something.
I'm also... To me, if you want to prove the thing that you're talking about is real,
and you
don't go to the UFO expert hypnotist. Go to the regular hypnotist.
Yeah.
Also, you probably don't want to choose someone named Sprinkles.
Yeah, going to Dr. Sprinkles. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Mislaid you.
Oh.
He went to Dr. Leo Sprinkles, and it was Sprinkles who convinced him to go under hypnotism. So he was not the hypnotist. I'm sorry. Okay. I think he reached out to him, and Sprinkles said, okay, let's take you to a hypnotist.
Is it Sprinkles or Sprinkle?
Sprinkles. That's what I have written down here. It could be Sprinkle, but that's just what I have in my notes. So beforehand, the only people Herbert told were his upper officers and the local newspaper. Sprinkles was a student from the College of Colorado back in 1949, which some believed he might have been there just to mess things up because it's believed that there's an alien underground base there and people who want to keep UFO information under wraps.
There's an underground alien base?
Yes. An underground alien base in Colorado.
And that's why they were one of the first states to legalize weed. Is to have
they'd
the
stop
weed
thinking about it.
camouflage it.
Yeah, but what about the airport?
Boston Airport?
No.
Denver
The
International.
I did it
Denver
again.
International
I
Airport.
always do that.
The Denver International Airport, where they mysteriously dug 6 stories underground because that is not normal, even though it is.
So,
But I see where you're getting at.
yeah, kind
I
of ties
see Where
in.
you getting at?
Was he near Denver?
It doesn't say. It just says the College of Colorado, and I don't know where that's
Oh,
at.
you didn't Google it on maps?
Can.
It's just called College of Colorado.
I believe so.
COC?
According to my source,
College of Colorado.
McGill.com.
Colorado College is a private liberal arts college
No, that's not true.
in Colorado Springs, Colorado. But where's my conservative art school?
No, I'm sorry. That's
Cass?
UFOinsight.com. That's where I got my source. Okay, so that's
Ow.
pretty much the basis of Shermer's story.
That's everything you got?
That's yeah.
That's all that you got.
Like, even in later bits.
Because
I've got another story that ties in with that, but I know you might have something to say about
we
Shermer.
took a break after he mentioned Herbert Sherman, and I fell down a small rabbit hole. One, information on him, very hard to find. Which I would say you could either make the argument of it is the reptilian leaders trying to hide all
Hide
the
it?
information about it,
Just like hiding the videos of people transforming.
or
Did he even exist?
you can make the argument that it's hard to find because if you say he was just a normal person, who knows? But the other thing I found, like this article on 3KMTV News Now of Omaha, Nebraska, where there's a comic book made after this. There's a comic
Really?
book
Is
about
there really?
Herbert Sherman and his
Shermer.
verbal accounts of his UFO sighting. And the thing is a lot of the information I have been finding is either on, like, you can look at this one or two ways. It's on bad government websites because government websites don't get updated a lot,
Never, because it's run by old people.
or they're shady websites that aren't actually government websites. Like this one, where this is apparently the Navy log, which about Herbert Shermer. Man, that dude, the dude's name is running me through a loop.
It's
Very
so
German.
fun to say, though.
Where
Herbert Shermer.
it would be better if it was Herman Sherman. This
That'd be more
page, this
catchy.
page is not loading for me, but basically it shows like his Navy record. But I also think it's very strange that the only thing it says about his Navy record is how he was a police officer while on patrol, got abducted by aliens. Like, literally the only thing you can find about this guy is the fact that he was abducted by aliens. And
Yeah.
This is on this supposed Navy logs?
Yes, this is on a website titled NavyLogNavyMemorial.org. I also found this one on the Nebraska. Okay, I can't read English sometimes, so the bottom. No, the bottom.
Nebraska legislature.
Yeah.
.gov.
Yep. .gov. And this is what this says. There's no dates. Oh wait, no. This is from 2021.
Huh.
107th first session. I can't say that word for the life of me.
What word?
The L word.
Legislature?
Yes. Introduced by McDonald at 5 Postman 23. Whereas each year in Ashland, the Ashland Area Chamber of Commerce hosts a Stirrup Days, which is one of Nebraska's single largest annual community events. Whereas Stirrup Days is a 3-day event that takes place Friday, Saturday, Sunday each year with multiple daily events, including electing a stirrup king, queen, carnival games, a car show, historic tours, live music contest, food, dance, and a parade. And whereas the theme for Stirrup Days this year, remember, this is from 2021, right?
Yeah.
The theme for Stirrup Days this year is Alien Encounter. The theme commemorates alien encounters reportedly experienced by Ashland police officer Herbert Schirmer in 1967. When I Googled, this is one of the very rare... I can find this. I can find the Navy log. Everything else is podcast. Why can't I find a single news article from 1967 about this thing?
Yeah.
Especially considering it says that he went to his local newspaper or
He
whatever.
did. Ashland, Nebraska.
Now-
He went to the local newspaper, and his bosses and the newspaper, those are the only people he went to. The local newspaper.
Right. And the local newspaper could have just been like, this guy's a nut.
It could
Yeah.
also be the newspaper area was so small that nothing really got out.
And
That's
it wasn't-
kinda what
and it
I'm
wasn't
leaning to.
saved.
Yeah. It could also be that our reptilian overlords have covered up the information, and now
They
we
could've.
can know about it.
Well, they say
gonna
that
be
it did.
replaced?
It only blew up because of Dr. Sprinkles showed up and found his story.
With a name like Dr. Sprinkles.
The other thing is in the thing I was just reading to you, it says that it was talked about in Unsolved Mysteries Around the World, Season 3, Episode 5, or something like that. I can't find anything called Unsolved Mysteries from Around the World.
Really?
I can find Unsolved Mysteries, but not the From Around the World aspect of it.
See, this is the weird part.
I can
about
also
this.
find hundreds of podcast, Instagram posts, Twitter posts about this. But I personally cannot find anything on it. Herbert Schirmer in 1967, which was featured on Season 6, Episode 2 of the show Unsolved Mysteries from Around the World.
So they actually got him on the show.
Well, I did find an article about him.
I wonder if Unsolved Mysteries from Around the World got shortened to just Unsolved Mysteries.
Could have
That's a
been.
possibility, or it could have been like a cease and desist if Unsolved Mysteries was bigger and came first.
I will say the website I got my information about Herbert Schirmer was UFOinsight.com. So it's a website about UFO encounters.
Right, so
That's
it's kinda
that's the
biased.
thing that's kind of like messing me up on this. Is every single thing I am finding about it,
Is biased.
I wouldn't even say bias. There's incentive behind it. There's money to be made behind it. Even though, obviously, this is a podcast about conspiracies, it's in your best effort to find a story to talk about alien encounters.
Yeah.
So, of course, I can find a bunch of podcasts that talk about the story. I can find Twitter posts about the story. They host an entire fair in Nebraska. Look at all the money made from that. Fairs make big money. And then you also have this guy who came out with a comic book. A 50-page comic book about the entire thing.
A conspiracy within a conspiracy. They came up with this story in order to get tourism. Make money.
Could have been like Roswell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Roswell's all aliens now. I had a second thing, but my brain's blanking. Go ahead.
The other thing is I have found photos of Herbert Schirmer. One is a picture of a police officer. The other one is on that Navy website. The thing I'll say,
Is it the same dude?
they look like the same dude. I mean,
You're saying they do look like the same
dude,
guy.
they really do.
But are they
They're
supposed to be
definitely-
different people?
Yeah, or you...
No. I'm saying that helps.
Oh, okay.
Helps it.
Oh, okay.
And it's not the
They're saying
same
he's,
picture.
you're trying to say
Yeah.
he's a real. It's showing that
Seems-
he's a
it
real guy.
seems as
Yeah.
if
He
he's a
seems
real
like
guy.
he's a real guy, or they just found a picture like a black and white photo of a guy, because also this was
Uh-huh.
Am I wrong in thinking 67's kind of late for black and white photos in newspapers? Well, newspapers, that's common. 'Cause
I mean,
newspapers
no.
are black and white.
I think it was still like black and white, and we had the reddish tone. I'm trying to forget. I'm forgetting what that word was. It starts with an S, I think.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it either.
Yeah.
What time did Wizard of Oz come out? Because that was about the
We
time
might
they
have
started
color.
Dude, that's
making.
the 30s.
We might have had color.
I thought most
What's the
60s movies and TV shows were in black and white.
Wizard of Oz came out in 1939.
Dang.
So color photography has been around since the 1800s. Yeah, this had to have been colored.
So
why is it black and white?
So why is these photos in 1967? You can see that guy's face.
Yeah.
You see this man's face,
Right.
right? It does look very similar to this guy, and this is the one from the Navy website.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
it looks.
Okay.
Similar.
So color photography became the dominant form of photography in the 1970s. But there were several developments leading up to that time. 1855,
Okay, now-
1861, 1932, 1930. Yeah.
Now this is messing me up even more. This is making me spiral, man. I feel like a psychopath.
I thought you were the guy that was supposed to be like against everything.
Same guy.
Let me see.
Doesn't it kind of look like that same
Yeah.
photo? It looks very similar to him.
It looks
So it's
similar.
it's becoming apparent that he's a real guy.
I mean, they
No.
could have just used a real guy.
Ooh, in color.
Why is it in color? Why was the other one black and white?
I just told you
What?
that black and
why,
white
why
was
does
still...
the black and white one look like it has like artifacts in the background? Did someone take a picture of a police officer and make it black and white to make it seem like it's older?
Well, no.
What is happening?
The 1960s, 1970s is where color was becoming commonplace, but it wasn't quite yet. Also, hold on.
Here's the second image.
Ryder,
Color.
I don't think you understand that you can take an old black and white photo, put it into Photoshop, and then
Put color.
edit it
Okay,
to give it color.
okay.
They
Hold on.
do that. They do that for like World War II stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that the only information I can find on him is about this UFO encounter, and someone's taken the time to turn his photos colored.
I will say back in the day they were able to do it because my grandma was big on watching the old westerns, most of them, and these were in the 60s and whatnot, around that area, maybe a little in the 50s, maybe a little 70s. What they would do is they would record it in black and white, and then they would add colors. There was a lot of those movies where they only had several types of colors. You would see, green trees, blue sky, red ground, brownish red ground, but then you'd see a horse that was green because they were limited on the colors they could use. So it's not impossible for them to add colors
Swear
in.
to God, if what I'm about to pull up. Okay.
Did you find real info?
I thought my spiral was gonna go even worse because I found a different Herbert Sherman. Shermer.
So, we're not even really talking about how Herbert Shermer is somehow tied to the lizard people specifically.
Oh, you actually.
I did touch up on that.
Yeah,
Let's
you
go
only
back to that.
touched up on that a little. I will say, I guess I found something that Ryan did not. I will also say, at this point, I don't know if this is actually real or not. I'm not 100% convinced right now that Herbert
Shermer.
Shermer.
Okay, first off, who names their child two things that could rhyme but don't make them rhyme? Name the boy Hermer Shermer. Because I can't keep saying. We're gonna just call him Herbert.
You can.
Herbert's
But-
fine.
I
Yeah.
like saying Herbert Shermer.
But Herbert, I'm not entirely 100% convinced this man is real as of right now.
I mean, the name could be a cover for...
This is drawings, so I guess I should hand it to you first. But this is drawings found, apparently drawn by Herbert.
Well, that messes up.
Apparently drawn.
I mean, is it supposed to be like a self-portrait or...
No, that's supposed to be the alien that abducted him.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Which just looks like a human in a silver outfit.
I'm about to get to that.
Yeah, that's what that looks like. Can
You-
we talk about the
okay,
perfect
no,
circle and
wait.
like the perfect geometry in these shapes, and then the person is just
Could have just been
Or is
good
it alien?
artists.
You know what it looks like?
hmm.
It looks like Herbert saw Filthy Frank with a headphone on, and that's what he drew.
It does.
Filthy Frank.
You never
don't know
heard
who
of Filthy
Okay,
Frank?
no, I have
Hold on, here's another image of his drawings.
another example. I think would be a better example
What
for
was his
you.
name? Filthy Frank?
Yeah, it's a YouTuber. A better example.
Oh, is that the guy in the pink suit?
Yes.
Okay.
Or who? A Twinkle in
In Legend of Zelda?
Zelda. It looks like Twinkle wearing a headphone.
So somebody just in a bodysuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I want to touch up on that, but I want to touch up on something else. Writers having a hard time believing that Herbert is a real person. His story actually lines up with the Hill story. Have y'all ever heard of Barney and Betty Hill?
Barney and Bobby Hill.
Barney and Betty Hill.
Betty. Gosh, I am dumb with names.
I am too.
Aren't they one of the first family?
I believe they might have been the first couple family
They were
or
an
whatever.
African American couple, if I'm correct. If it's the story I'm thinking
I
of.
think only one of them are.
Oh no, exactly. And there's some theories with that one.
Yeah, that kind of ties into it a little bit.
During the times where it was still kind of not cool, it was an
In
interracial
certain states,
Right.
it was. Then that actually goes along with what their abduction could have actually been.
And
Yeah.
what state was this? Colorado?
No, I don't think it was Colorado.
No, there's Barney and Betty's
Mhm.
is in a southern state, if I'm right.
Okay. But they have a similar story?
Not similar to their.
How does it line up, you said?
The Hills, Barney and Betty, went on a honeymoon trip back in 1961. On their way home, they were being followed by a strange light, and when they got out of their car, they could see it was like a flying saucer, much like Herbert saw. Barney wanted to shoot it, but he ended up getting back into his car and drove off. They started getting drowsy and lost a lot of time. Lost
Like
a
an
lot of
hour
track
or
of
two?
time. Yeah, 2 hours is about where it's at. What was interesting was he said he had a gun in his vehicle. He went to grab it and he couldn't raise it up. He said he wanted to aim and shoot, but when he got up to it, it was like he's froze, like he couldn't do it.
Okay.
So he just went back in the car and drove off.
So that, to me, goes back to what we were talking about with the futuristic weapons. Why are they not just, taking over? But please continue.
So the trip was 2 hours longer than it should have been, and they couldn't remember anything of that drive coming back after seeing the flying saucer. After a while, Betty started to complain about having strange dreams and eventually went to see a hypnotist about it. Through the hypnosis, they uncovered memories about being in an alien saucer and having experiments done onto them. So both Shermer's and the Hill stories say that they spotted UFO, lost considerable amount of time afterwards, and had odd dreams and went to a hypnotist to recover their memories.
Do they have drawings of the aliens?
I don't think they do.
Or an
I don't
explanation
believe
that sounds similar to the drawing?
What
No.
they saw, and this is where we get into the similarities, the evidence
stopped,
for
okay.
this is where it stops. We're going to get into why this ain't really true. Both their stories might be great to prove that aliens are real in general,
But
not
lizard
specifically reptilians.
people. Right.
Because the Hills, what they saw, were known as the Greys. The short...
Right.
Well, a
The
lot of
big
people call
eyes.
them the little green men. Well,
It started as grays and they became green over time.
yeah. I mean, green just kind of became like a pop culture thing, but
Mhm.
they're originally referred as Greys, and they're gray in color, and they're short, but everything else is about correct. Short, big-headed, big eyes.
Right.
I think they actually drew some pictures of them. I believe Betty drew the pictures of aliens of what she saw in the saucer she
I can
saw.
Google it.
All right, I've still been doing my deep dive about this man.
On Shermer?
Yes. No, this is making me lose it because I really cannot prove this man is real. I wanted to add that Betty and Barney were not in a southern state. This was New Hampshire.
Okay, yeah.
But still, we're talking 1960s. Still not great.
back in that time. No.
Just to add a little fact, because I think it's fun to learn little facts like this. The Hills are the grandparents of current UFC strawweight fighter Angela Hill.
Really?
Neat.
So about what Shermer saw and his testimony, he said the aliens looked like people, not really snakes. The research that I've got says that they had snake-like features. If you really delve into Herbert's story, just his story alone, the only snake thing that pops up is the military emblem of a winged serpent that they have on their suit.
Okay, so it sounds like the lizard people believers try to tie it to their specific...
Well, they say that it could just be the shape-shifting abilities. They transformed into humans to think that, to feel more comfortable, I guess. But that doesn't really go with...
Yeah, that doesn't fit.
Yeah, that doesn't really go with the evil, blood-sucking, fear-mongering reptilians.
Right, but also the reason that they supposedly shapeshift is to hide their identity. Why would they come out of a spaceship looking like people?
Yeah, makes no sense.
Unless they're trying to say that, this is just a government, thing. You gotta keep quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just...
Another theory for that is that they are just humans, but from the future. Like they traveled back in time to
I've
check
heard
on
a
people
couple
in
of those
the
theories.
past.
But why?
So,
Sightseeing.
well, no, actually, and this gets into another alien, but I'll get that here in a second. So when Herbert actually gave his testimony, he said that they mostly talked about teaching humans to use free energies as a source, and that could do away with using fuel or nuclear power plants.
Okay, so now it's starting to sound like this was a propaganda movement trying to get people to stop using fossil fuel. So, like, people that were a little more eco-friendly. This is in a time where I don't think that was super commonplace, though.
I think this was the more emphasis on nuclear, because they warned him that if humans continue to use nuclear power, other aliens might have to step in and deal with them. And, this is down in the 60s during the time we just nuked Japan.
That's fair. So it was probably more of like, hey, stop making these big weapons.
Yeah.
The thing I find interesting was Shermer saying stuff about that. That's not the first alien story I've heard where they warn against nuclear power.
No, yes. So,
I swear to God, don't you dare say it.
I'm going to say it.
They
warn them to, humans don't need to use nuclear power, or else it might attract aliens from space and make them have to deal with it. This kind of leans more towards the Valiant Thor story and the idea behind the Nordic aliens, and it's nothing to the description of David Icke.
Did you read into Valiant Thor?
I didn't read into him, but I listened to the podcast about him.
Because it's one of the ones I personally want to cover.
Okay, so
Thor was the one I was thinking of.
that's another alien that's been mentioned to alien believers and stuff, is
Valiant
you have the
Thor.
Greys, you have the Reptilians, and you have the Nordics. And all Nordics are these tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed humans.
Aren't they called Acer or Acer?
They may have other names. I just know them as the Nordics. And they're very famous for caring about people. Humanity. They're big on like, hey guys, y'all need to conserve your energy. Hey, you need to stay away from nuclear power. Much like the Valiant Thor story.
And you said blonde hair, like long blonde hair,
Yeah.
blue eyes.
They're called Nordics for a reason.
Right. But also, thinking about the humanoid depictions of angels.
Yeah, they're usually, very
have
bright-haired, tall.
Right. So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, biblically accurate angels.
Well, people
are
say
fun.
that. They say biblically accurate angels are the 1,000 eyes,
Well, that's how
bunch
that's
of
just
wings.
described.
Well, that's only... They can transform, too.
Into anything.
The New Testament, angels are described as glowing big people. They're just
giant.
big, strong. They're not... I wouldn't consider them giants. They say they glow like lightning, and they're just like really tall and bright and strong looking, and that's why they're so intimidating. But yeah, angels can change form into anything. So yeah, Sherman's story doesn't sound like, even with the snake emblem, all that could be is just their logo. It sounds more like they're the Nordic aliens, the ones who care about humanity.
But they're in morph suits for some reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're military space traveling people. The attitudes you hear about Nordics is they're usually more caring, more, trying to take care of humans and the Earth. Aliens are just cold-hearted science people experimenting on the people they abduct, and the reptilians are just pure evil, and they want to take over the world, and they want to eat people, or drink people's blood. So that has nothing to do with how David Icke would describe them as.
Yeah.
Before we leave the subject, I have to talk about my non-stop deep dive I have made on
Herbert Shermer.
Hey, is there any pizza left?
Yes, there's most of a pizza left.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get a slice on the next break.
I got to Googling about this because it's driving me crazy. The fact that I can't find a lot of information on this. Because right now you can Google the hills. Yeah. And you can find Wikipedia pages and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they were
you
famous.
Google this guy, there weren't celebrities.
No, but they're more well known, more talked about.
They started the whole
Icke wrote a book that deals with this guy. Or not that. He's not the main subject of the book, but he mentions it.
I don't think Herbert's in the book.
You want to know one of the main reasons why I'm saying that? Googling.
He is in the book?
Googling this guy, I have found stuff tied to Icke. David Icke. It's The People versus David Icke is what I keep having pull up.
The People versus David
That's
Icke?
what it's called. It's on some...
So Herbert is against Icke?
No.
That's
just what the website, the link to the website was called.
Gotcha.
The article on it is called The People versus David Icke. But whenever I was looking up Herbert Shermer, that's what I found that article several times. I also, originally I was going to drop this after I found this because I found his obituary.
Okay, there we go.
And I'm like, okay, we're on to something.
Herbert?
If this guy seems like a real person, I'm going to drop this. I'm going to edit that stuff out. I have seen while Googling this stuff that he died in 2017. Or not 2017. Yes, 2017. He died in 2017.
Jeez.
So, whenever I saw the official obituary of Herbert Shermer, and it shows that he died in 2017, I'm like, okay, here we go. In this thing, it talks about how he was in the Navy. And if you remember, I found that one.
Navy logs.
The Navy logs that shows him. And how he was a security guard. Why would they not, mention his police work? If they're going to mention that he was a security guard, you would at least think they would mention he was, a proud police officer.
So the only thing that I can see there is that while in the Navy, he served as a security officer, which could be considered military police.
He was retired.
When he was working as a security guard?
He was a retired security guard for Advanced Security Services. There's no mention of Nebraska at all in this obituary.
Nothing about Ashland, Nebraska.
Nothing. He was buried in Georgia. He was born in Mississippi. He was a Mason in Georgia. Nothing about this mentions Nebraska. Doesn't mention his police work. So I don't think this is the same Herbert Shermer.
It's probably not.
So I know this thing is very controversial, but I also went to ChatGPT. And all I did was ask ChatGPT to find me the oldest sources that it can that mention Herbert Shermer. And it gave me 3 sources. One is from 2021. One is from 2023, specifically April 2nd, or not 2023, my bad. It's April 2nd of 2013. So that 2013 is the latest date I had seen up to this point. And this is actually the article where it shows the picture I've already shown y'all of him signing paper.
Okay.
The black and white photo. And then I found another article from 2008.
And that's the latest.
That is the latest. I also did a reverse image search of that image. In
Not
the
Herbert?
earliest moment that image, the one that all these podcasts use for their podcast, showing him drawing, and then they show the picture that was drawn. The only time it appears on, or the first time it appeared on Google, is 2008 in this article.
Odd.
Huh.
The other side is I also found another article that this article has those drawings that we've already talked about. They claim this article is from 1976, but Herbert looks completely different in it.
Wait, 1976?
So the article claims it's from 1976.
That's not Herbert.
These are two different people in this photo, and they're saying...
They look like two different people.
But they're saying this is both Herbert Schirmer.
One of them looks like somebody I worked with.
My personal opinion, I don't believe any of the Herbert Schirmer stuff at this point.
Yeah, I feel like they just took the accounts of like 8 different Herbert Schirmer's lives and made an alien story.
Well, they could have took a note from the hills and just made a similar story.
They could have taken the hills. It could have also been from that comic book.
Right.
Or, I mean, there's no telling where this came from. It could have just been from that website where that image first popped up in 2008.
Yeah. Well, you said something about 76. It supposedly happened in...
No, not 76. I mix up numbers in my head
Oh,
sometimes.
okay.
1967.
Okay.
That's called dyslexia.
I
Yeah.
thought that was only letters.
No, it's...
It's everything.
I will also... I'm going to continue my research on this news article. Because this news article...
Prove cops report a flying saucer by hypnotism.
Like, this article is old.
What's the subhead?
U.S. Air Force project uses doctor. So that doesn't even align with the story of
No,
Herbert
I meant the
Schirmer.
part that says Tales of Communicating with UFO Creature.
So, like, nothing in this story lines up. And if I'm wrong,
When did that paper come out?
that one, that's what
You can't find it?
this website is from September 24th, 2024.
This came out like just the other day?
This website
The
posted
website
this.
posted it just the other day.
Website posted it 4 days ago.
Oh, now everyone knows when we recorded this.
So, it's not going to be released anytime soon. But my personal opinion is at this point, I personally cannot believe. I've heard of Barney and Betty's story.
Yeah.
I partially agree with their story. I partially believe their story. But Herbert's story, there's nothing I can believe on it.
So it's
Yeah.
probably what, happened the same with the Loch Ness Monster. Like once, what was it, Scotland? Yeah, once
so.
they talked about it, like it became world news, or states and cities within the U.S. were like, yeah, we have one too.
Yeah. No.
I mean, even that, I read y'all that report where they talked about how they're doing a parade over that stuff in Ashford, Nebraska.
Yeah, the legislature.
yeah.
In 2021.
Well,
They even said they have a descendant coming to speak about the matter. But they don't mention the descendant's name. And how is it that they have a descendant
From a guy that doesn't exist?
and as far as I can tell, this man doesn't actually exist. There's no way Ashford, Nebraska is that far back in the past that there's nothing on Google about this thing.
yeah.
That's the last I'm going to bring back up.
About
Herbert Schirmer. And you know what? Since I'm like 99.9% sure he's not real, Hermer Schirmer. It's officially his name now.
He can be Frank.
Hermer Schirmer. Or Herbert Sherbert.
Herbert
I like
Sherbert.
Sherbert.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got a shirt idea. Hermer Schirmer. Herbert Sherbert.
That'd be good.
Until the supposed descendant sues you.
Yeah. Well, it's not their descendants.
Not their name.
Yeah.
It was a joke anyways. Because he's a supposed descendant. Familial ties.
So what else do you have for us? Are you about to tell us what's the ick with David Icke?
Yeah, I have a problem with ick. I have an ick with ick.
He's pretty icky.
So, he sounds really sure of himself, right? He tells this grand story about the reptilians and how they're going to take over the world and how exactly it happened and how it will happen. The problem is he's also the guy who claimed that the 5G towers were causing COVID-19.
Are you kidding me? He started that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hate this guy.
Or unless he took it and
Dude,
run
he's
with it.
really ick.
Yeah.
So,
So
so is he also the guy that said that vaccines are causing autism?
No.
I'm not sure. I think that was someone else.
No, I can tell
Well,
you right
no,
now.
I know it's someone else, but I'm just saying, like, is he
Ironically-
tied to that sometimes?
You know what's ironic about that?
somehow, sorry.
Huh.
That guy, the first person to talk about vaccines and autism, was also from Britain.
Really?
What's going on in that
What's going on over
man?
Look, we broke off for a reason.
Is that everything about David Icke? Because, the way you made it sound earlier, I thought you were going to lay on some other dirt.
a huge
I'm
bomb.
about to. But what I'm ending this with will be a kind of a huge bomb drop, and I'm going to get into more of the psychosis, more of the thought process behind humans and stuff, and how we tend to
Like
mix
the-
things up.
Psychological.
Psychological, yes.
Okay.
So here's the thing about Shermer and Hill's story. They both went to a hypnotist and to gather their missing memories.
Right.
Well, the problem with that is, we talked about if experts are kind of pushing away from that. Well, it's because they found that a lot of times with the memory recovering hypnosis, all it is your brain is making things up.
Yep. That's what a memory basically is. Me and Ryder have had this conversation at length.
Yeah.
There's actually I had this idea of a really interesting study to do where I want to keep a dream journal. But instead of doing the, where you write every dream you do, I don't dream often.
Yeah.
I have a dream maybe once a month. At most.
Yeah.
Next time I have a dream, I want to buy a journal. Write down my dream. Never look at that page. Next day, write about the same dream. And just continue that day after day after day. And after I write all the way to the very end, or the last page, I want to then compare the two pages and see how much the story has changed.
Writing it
That'd be
down,
cool.
you will remember it better, though.
Yes, but overall, I'm willing to bet stuff changes still.
I'm sure something does. Because I still remember that weird dream that I told you about. The world of the gods, basically. It was the underworld. And there was Bowling Pin Sanji. And
Yeah.
and the train that was on rails of light.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really cool dream. I don't think anything's changed on it, because all the same details are kind of there.
You don't even need it to be a dream.
No, I know.
I could
I was just saying. I was just saying with the dreaming in particular, because I've talked about it enough times, I feel like my brain has solidified it.
I feel like I could have call one of y'all, be like, tell me a story.
And then call the next day.
And then write that story down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even that, call the next day and do it and just keep doing it. I feel like if you end up doing that, there's going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be a completely different story, but I bet there's going to be
Telling the same story. Yeah.
different or things that change over time.
Well, talking about the mind
So
and
it's
restoring, I'm a twin brother, so
Yeah.
I grew up with one person and we did everything together. But we will tell the same story. We will remember different things about it.
That happens with a lot of people, though.
Yeah.
I've had people correct on memories, and I've corrected other people's on memories. Which, now I'm wondering, is either one of us right?
Another thing I want to add about the hypnosis thing, I'm not saying these are the identical, but it also sounds like a practice that has been done in the past by police, where they are dead set on it being, this person did this crime.
Oh, so they
And
do it to convince it that
and
they did it?
They sit them in an interrogation room, and they're feeding them aspects of what the actual crime is.
Gaslighting. Got it.
I mean, in a way, but
Yeah.
they're feeding these aspects of a crime, like tiny little details. And by the end of the, there are some cases. There's this horrible case I've heard about where there was this murder that happened in this small apartment, and by the end of it, there was 6 people arrested for this crime. All 6 of these people remember them doing the crime, but they also sat in an interrogation room for 9+ hours. Being fed information after information, to the point wherever a lot of these people eventually got let off because someone sat down and went, "That the living room or the area where this crime has, there's no way all 7 of these people could have been standing in that room.
Yeah.
This story doesn't make any logical sense now."
And, I mean, gaslighting, I guess, is kind of like a form of hypnotism in a sense. And it's important when trying to get someone's testimony that you don't say anything so that they can remember it a little bit more clearly.
Yeah.
That it's their own words involved into it.
Also, memory is really bad, especially when it comes to color. A lot of times, if someone says that it was a green vehicle, it was a red one, and vice versa.
And, I mean, you say that, and on top of that, what's one of the most commonly said things when it comes to reporting a crime? Someone's skin color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have humans have a bad memory when it comes to color.
I mean, yeah. And height is a memory. They put the things next to the door so you can figure that out, but like, who's gonna pay attention to that, really?
Yeah. I try to do it to help, but
like if I remember correctly, that case where they just kept having more and more people added to the number of people.
They were all gaslit into believing that they
okay.
did it.
I'm looking at some of the information.
Mm-hmm.
This happened in 1989.
Okay.
3 people confessed to participating in the murder. Eventually, a total of 6 people were arrested, but when DNA tests were run on the crime scene almost 20 years later, the results showed none of them were actually involved.
So it sounds like someone was trying to play Sherlock Holmes and just made a bunch of bullshit up.
And
sounds like it.
I'm not going to dive into we're not that type of podcast, so I'm not going to go too deep into that.
That's
but
for a
one of the people,
flock of crows.
One of the people ended up hospitalized.
He broke down.
She broke down and had to be put into a mental institution,
which was really bad back then.
Dang, that's crazy.
Messed her brain up with these police officers interrogating her for so long, telling her over and over and over again that you did this crime.
She was traumatized by the interrogation and then traumatized by the supposed memory from the interrogation.
And then on top of that, obviously, I'm not a hypnotherapist, but I imagine, asking someone to repeat stuff or asking questions is involved in that. In my brain, I imagine it's pretty similar to an interrogation, just probably way less aggressive.
Yeah. And it's been proven how bad memory is several times over with trying to repeat someone's exact words back to them.
I think the main thing...
Oh, I just realized I don't even have to do my little study. Because what you just said made me think of this. The game of telephone is a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the main thing is your subconscious will fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Like I said about being hypnotized, I didn't know who my favorite actor was, not back then.
So your
subconscious
just picked somebody.
Picked somebody. They says you like him and you like Johnny Depp in
supposedly that's your favorite.
Pirates of Caribbean, so that's your favorite actor.
I was about to say I want to ask, when did that happen?
It happened when I was in high school.
So
Pirates of the Caribbean.
You're
3 or 4.
No,
that would
I
be
think
5.
I think
what
it
year
would be
did
closer
you
to the 5.
graduate, if you don't mind?
15.
So
2 years after me.
graduated in 2015,
I want to say it happens around 13, 14.
13, 14. I mean, so that wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean height.
No.
But, I mean, there were still pirates coming out around that time. You have
It was definitely one of my favorite movies
2007
back then.
At World's End, and 2011 on Stranger Tides with another one, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
So, going with that, both stories take place in the 60s. Well, you know what is another alien story that happened in the 60s?
Roswell.
Roswell. And it was reported after the story of Roswell, not only these stories, but a lot of stories were being reported to the police about alien abductions.
Right.
There's also the fact that, as we've possibly come to the agreement on, Hermer Shermer's story might not even be real.
Not even be real. And the thing about the hills, now I couldn't find anything on this concrete, but rumor has it, TikTok, rumor has it, Instagram, rumor has it, saw a video on one of those two apps about the hills that said they apparently watched a sci-fi movie just before their honeymoon that featured aliens.
I think I remember seeing that.
There's actually, surprisingly, when it comes to cryptids and
Aliens and
conspiracies
stuff.
and aliens and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
A lot of them.
there are a lot of those stories where someone watched something right before that, and it actually can link up.
Yeah. Yeah, your brain
Yeah.
freaks out after watching
Like I
those
said,
sometimes.
your subconscious will fill in the blanks. You may not know something, and that's why your dreams are crazy sometimes.
Mhm.
They will
it's
find a
just your
way to fill
subconscious.
in the blanks.
Yeah.
There's a alien movie. I forget exactly what it's called.
Is it an alien movie? Like the series Alien?
No.
Or okay.
No, it deals with a alien human hybrid, ironically.
Are they lizard?
And one of the first reports of the chupacabra happened after a woman watched that late at night and heard a sound outside.
I vaguely remember this story. And I think this one in particular was the account spoke of a more reptilian chupacabra.
Yeah.
If whenever you look at, as I said, I can't remember the movie, but if you look at the picture of the monster from that movie and the description of the chupacabra, they're pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
So this brings us back to David Icke.
Ick.
His story with the reptilians being from space and living underground in underground bases and planning to take over the world and being snake men. His main source, I believe, was the book by the Russian philosopher Blavatsky. I think her name was.
Blavatsky?
Yeah.
Lemuria.
Yeah, that mentions
yeah.
her books of what was it? Came out in 1888.
It was similar to The Biggest Secret.
The Secret Doctrine.
That's right.
That's kind of like his main source for his deal. But you know who his story sounds like? It sounds like Robert E. Howard's story. A little
I know the name.
comic called The Shadow Kingdom. That's like the arc name. The overall title, Conan the Barbarian.
Oh my god.
It is almost word for word the description of Conan the Barbarian, The Shadow Kingdom. That is about Conan finding snake men living underground, coming from space, and planning to take over the world.
When did Conan come out?
Conan came out in this story specifically, 1929.
Conan O'Brien Conan the Barbarian?
Conan O'Brien the Barbarian?
I'm sure that's already been done.
You want to know? I mean, we're D&D guys. The entire time you've been talking about this, the mental image I've had of a reptilian has been a Yanti.
Yeah, I
Like-
thought
like
of that
a-
once you guys mentioned
Those are snake men,
people.
right?
Yeah, yeah. There's
But honestly,
snake people. Like,
Dark Souls, those
Yep.
guys came to mind a lot sooner.
Yeah, but the thing is I wonder if because I mean D&D is a game that has taken, you can either say inspiration or has stolen
From everything.
from a lot of fantasy things. Halflings are obviously
Hobbits.
hobbits.
They were actually originally called hobbits, and
Yes.
then
They found out
I
that
mean,
was
orcs
is copyrighted.
copyright.
orcs come from Tolkien. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
strictly
I'm pretty
from
sure
Tolkien.
elves also come from Well,
Elves.
the idea of a fantasy elf that the average person thinks of is a
Is
Tolkien
from
elf.
Tolkien. Yeah.
Right. What was the depiction before that then? I don't.
Like
Short
a,
little
yeah, like
gnomes.
forest
like
like
a
a
gnome
creatures.
or a fairy. I mean, a lot of elves are viewed as that, more trickster-like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
I guess
pixie.
I guess that's why they're considered fae.
Yeah,
Makes
Or they
sense.
were viewed as like nymphs, which is forest ladies. women
they're like
who are-
forest spirits, but they're like horny.
Not necessarily,
That's how I
but
always understood
for
I
spirits.
think that's how you
yeah.
wanted it to be.
it. Probably.
You have to stop traveling through the woods all the time.
Look, if a green woman comes up to you wearing nothing but leaves,
That's just a homeless lady. I'm sorry. I don't think it's unthinkable to think about the fact that what if they saw that? Gary Gygax saw that and was like, "Ooh, Yonti, snake people.
Oh yeah,
They live
yeah.
in these temples."
I can almost
But
guarantee it.
There's also another pop culture thing that I know of that talk about alien-like people who live underground, and their ultimate goal is to take over the world, and that is Doctor Who,
Yeah, I've heard
the
of.
Sumerians.
I haven't watched it.
I believe they're like literally lizard people. They shoot a tongue out.
So
Well, I mean,
Doctor-
they probably got inspiration from
Uh,
Ick.
Well,
no, not Ick. It would most likely come from the Secret
original?
Doctrine, because
Okay.
that's where Robert E. Howard got his inspiration for that story. Was
Well,
that
I was
book?
meaning Doctor Who.
Well, and the other thing with the lizard people is, if I'm right, the Solarians. If I'm right, classic Solarians in old Doctor Who don't look like alien or lizards, in my opinion.
But they're still an alien that lives underground.
They look like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
This
but,
is-
I mean,
this
it
is the
does look
classic look.
reptilian.
Yes,
All
this
right.
is true.
But look at the modern version of it.
Also very reptilian.
Yeah, you could almost say snake lizard-like.
Yeah. And
But
they
Doctor Who-
also live underground.
Doctor Who might have just taken the conspiracy theory.
They
to
could
make
have,
that, though.
Yeah.
but it could have easily. They've been inspired by
mean-
Conan the Barbarian or the original book.
But they do seem to take conspiracy theories, like, and tie them in as like, yeah, those are real.
Yeah.
It could. I don't know. I haven't watched Doctor Who.
There's a clip that I saw that I guess the moon is an egg. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know nothing other than that.
It's an egg for a giant space beast. And
that
then if
will
I'm right,
destroy the Earth.
no, if I'm right, it hatches and it flies away, and either a new egg gets placed or it's a hologram.
Okay, now we're starting to touch a different conspiracy with the whole hologram moon.
Yeah,
We'll get
that's-
into that.
I mean, I
later.
was just trying to ebb and flow with you, and
I mean, that's fair. It's just like that's where it went. I mean, but without a moon, our tides would screw up. So like,
I'm willing to bet. I'm wonder if we look deep enough online, if we could find someone on some kind of social media saying something about 5G and COVID before David Icke.
It could have been. It could have been because
she didn't like that.
I mean, I don't think David Icke came up with the conspiracy of reptilians. It just got more popular because of him.
And he also just sounds like someone who doesn't come up with his own. What he's really today now famous for, because I imagine he used to be famous for being on the news.
Sports, and he
Yeah.
used to be in a Green Party in the
The
politics.
Green political
Wait,
party.
Ick did?
Yeah.
Not the U.S. Green Party.
No.
The
no.
UK Green Party.
Okay, but
Yeah.
still, Ick did?
Yeah.
He was
But-
in politics?
He got laughed at because of his
Huh.
theories.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he believed in lizard people.
And then he got kicked out, and then that's when he started really going down into the.
So he just spiraled out of depression.
So he pulled an Alex Jones, is what it sounds
Yes.
like. Except I don't know. If
Oh wait,
Alex
are you talking
Jones,
about the water that's turning the frogs gay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The person who has to sell, liquidate his entire foundation because of things that he has said.
Yeah,
Well,
some
so
crazy
let's-
stuff.
Let's leave it at things
that.
said.
No. So, are reptilians real?
Personal opinion? No.
I don't think so either.
You want to know my personal opinion?
I like it. Thank you for listening to a group of lemurs. Yet again, I am Ryder. To wish you a good rest of your day.
This is Ryan.
And this is Skylar. I hope you all had fun.
Goodbye.
Help me.